Let's get nasty on a Monday. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Happy New Year to everyone, including my co-host, Andrew Marsh and Carey Davis. What's up, CD?
How's it going, brother? Long time no see.
I know. It's been a while. Love hearing your voice again. Yep, had the last couple of weeks off. I hope everybody had a great holiday break, great holiday, time with the family and all that stuff, and off to a great new year. So CD right now is stuck in a hotel because of the weather. Yeah. Andrew Marsh and I are in the studios. We're rocking and rolling. Jamie is traveling with the Blues, as I'm sure everybody knows that right now. But CD, we appreciate you being able to come on the show regardless of your current situation.
Yeah, it's been a little bit crazy. I'm sure I'm not the only one dealing with the weather issues and traveling on the road. So, it's fortunate to be able to be safe and be somewhere where everybody is okay. So I'm good.
Yeah, everybody be safe on the roads. I know there's not a lot of people. At least certainly wasn't people coming in. Many people coming in when I was driving. Marsh unfortunately got stuck in the snow.
Yeah, shout out to the stranger that helped me. So
I saw a lot of people with shovels driving. It might not be a bad idea. They were shoveling their way out of snow piles, I guess.
Did the person recognize you at all?
No.
Well, either way, shout out. I'm sure they're listening.
Maybe.
I'm sure they're listening.
Hopefully.
All right. So Marsh got stuck in the snow this morning, but last night couldn't have been too good for our guy. Oh. I don't know if you want to start with the Lions side or the Viking side of things, but let's start with the Lions, boys. So we know now that the wild card weekend, we know the matchups are set. Last night was the last domino that needed to fall so that we knew what the matchups were going to be in the NFC, because the AFC was obviously set. So the Lions beat the Vikings 31-9. Really sloppy game. I mean, offensively, I know the Lions hung 31 points on the board, but it was sloppy for them until Jared Goff got into a bit of a rhythm, really in the midway through the third quarter. But the defensive effort by the Lions was incredibly strong, at least in the red zone. The Vikings were able to pick up yards in between the 20s. But then once they got deep in Detroit territory, it was an absolute mess, I thought. But, just from the non-game standpoint, Carey, this Lions team, the Lions fan base, I mean, it's been a long time coming for them. And Carey, I remember you and I talking about the draft that involved Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs and the linebacker Campbell. You and I were like, what are they doing? You can't take a running back in the first. You can't take a linebacker in the second. Why are they taking Laporta in the why did they take a middle linebacker in the first? Why did they take Laporta in the second?
Right.
We laughed at the whole biting the kneecaps thing. Everything that Dan Campbell has done was exactly what every single head coach couldn't do before him. He reset the culture in Detroit. And if we're talking about culture all the time like we do, it's become kind of a clutch word at times, a crutch word. He's the poster child of what culture should look like. And I'm happy for Lions fans. I lived in Detroit for a while, as everybody knows. I'm happy for Lions fans. And it is remarkable what Campbell has been able to do, CD.
Yeah, you were talking about that draft that they had. They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. We were confused because they had just signed David Montgomery. They drafted Laporta. We were like, what are they doing? They drafted all those guys. All four of those players are key players in what they're doing right now. Jahmyr Gibbs is outstanding. 4 touchdowns yesterday. Played an outstanding game. You know what Sam Laporta brings. Jack Campbell and Brian Branch are number 1 and 2 in the team in tackles. Those were the first 4 picks that they had in that draft. And so, like you said, they have done a fantastic job of drafting, developing, and then they got guys. They got studs. They got players. And this is a team that has had so many darn injuries this year. To be able to sustain it and play at that level, I'm surprised because they've had so many players going IR, but they've been playing outstanding, and it's fun to watch. And you might get Montgomery back. He said he might be able to play in the playoffs. He got a second opinion. So, they might be even more explosive. And then who knows? Aiden Hutchinson did mention when he first got injured that I plan on coming back. So if they make it to the Super Bowl, look out, because they might be all getting healthy at the right time.
No team needed a bye week more than the Detroit Lions to get rested up. They don't have to go to L.A. That's Minnesota now. Minnesota's got to travel to L.A., and they'll take on the Rams next Monday night. That'll be the final wild card game. But no team needed that bye week more than the Lions. What an impressive job that Aaron Glenn has done. If Aaron Glenn doesn't get a head coaching job, if not now, when? With the job that he has done. I mean, the Lions, that offense had to bail them out. Not bail them out. The Lions offense had to lead this team to a division title, but it was the defense that ultimately saved the day last night. How many times does Minnesota have the ball deep in Detroit territory, and the Lions were able to, overcome that and either force Minnesota to have a turnover on downs, multiple turnovers on downs, field goal attempts. They did a remarkable job. I think Aaron Glenn deserves a chance to be a head coach in the NFL.
Oh, I agree. I think he's done a fantastic. I think both their coordinators will probably be head coaches going into next year. I think, what we've seen from both sides, I think they've done a fantastic job. And this is why it's so important for the Lions to finish it out this year, because if you come back, we saw this with the Eagles a couple of years ago when they were unable to finish the deal in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. They lost both of their coordinators, and that team wasn't the same the following year. They started off really well, but they didn't look really good. So, I think it's important for the Lions. They got the bye week. They're going to have an opportunity to rest up, get healed, and you got to win it all because, again, your coordinators probably won't be there going into 2025.
Now, the flip side of it, I don't want to overreact to one game. I really don't, because what Sam Darnold and the Vikings did this season, Marsh, I think you and I were the only ones, and we treaded lightly. We're the only ones on this show that said, I don't think Sam Darnold's going to have a bad year. Mm-hmm. I think this Vikings team is better than what people nationally are saying and thinking. They finished 14. We didn't see them winning 14 games.
Goodness gracious, no.
But I didn't think that they were going to be left for dead in that NFC North. Mm-hmm. Outstanding season. You take it. But watching Sam Darnold last night, jeez. And it wasn't just him. That offensive line had a rough night too. But I couldn't help but think that was the Sam Darnold that we saw at the Jets.
Oh, geez.
The seeing ghost Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Am I overreacting, Marsh?
No. He was terrible last night. In the biggest game of the season, he was terrible. This is exactly the game that, Vikings fans have
dreaded.
Yes. When is this going to happen? Because it happens every single year that, they make a playoff run. Every big game, they just seem, they can't win it. And, luckily they're still in the playoffs, so things can change. I saw this though midway through the season, and they were able to win games. And I even said it on the show, when they were barely beating the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were, games against Tennessee.
The Jets even, right? It wasn't that the overseas game?
Well, yeah, that was overseas. Second half, it didn't look great, but there were games in the middle of the season where he was throwing picks because he was forcing stuff. This was a little different, though. He didn't throw an interception last night, which you would have thought, based on the game that he had, that he would have had multiple picks.
He wasn't even accurate enough to
But he wasn't. No, that was the whole thing. He was overthrowing the ball. But when we're talking about being down in the red zone, there were multiple guys that first look, boom, get the ball out. And he's been doing that. Mm-hmm. He's been doing that. I don't understand what happened, because he's been playing so well. He just wasn't making the throws. They were getting to the quarterback. They were getting to him. Give credit to the Lions. Give credit to the Lions as well for, holding a lot of the players up and down the field, much like the Patriots did to the Rams in the Super Bowl and not getting called for it.
Anzalone was over Hawkinson.
They had an Anzalone highlight package, and every single play that they had, it was a penalty. Anyways, that didn't, you know what, though?
It didn't cost him the game. It did factor in.
Because Sam Darnold probably couldn't throw the ball to that player anyways. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't good enough. Yeah. He wasn't good enough. Luckily, though, the defense did what they could for as long as they could. And honestly, if the logo ends up coming up with that interception, it could be a completely different game because then maybe your offense gets a little bit more life to them because the defense steps up, and then you'd be a 2-point conversion away from tying that game at that point in the, what was it, the third quarter?
Yeah.
Or was it the fourth quarter? It might have been the fourth quarter.
It may have been the fourth. Either way, 31-9 is not a indicative score of how that game actually played out. And it wasn't a great game. But
it isn't, but it deserved to be that score.
Fair.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Was there any concern, Marsh, about Jahmyr Gibbs did what Jahmyr Gibbs does? Like he is special.
He's unbelievable.
He is special, man. And I said this a few weeks ago when David Montgomery, when they were splitting carries, I'm like, please stop. And I love David Montgomery, but when you got the guy that is as special as Gibbs is, you have to give him the ball. And unfortunately, Montgomery went down, but fortunately for Gibbs, he's the one that is still healthy. I was pretty shocked at how well they ran the football on the Vikings, how well he specifically ran the football on the Vikings. And he scored 3 rushing touchdowns, and they just seemed to – I've said this time and time again, there's a point in the game where you break the defense's will. I don't know if it was the last rushing touchdown when he got hit at the goal line and just kind of forced his way into the end zone. That to me was the Vikings' will being broken. Like it was. I don't know if that was the third or the fourth touchdown, but their will was broken at that point. I watched it happen, and so that to me is a bit of a concern. I know they'll be back ready. It's a rivalry game. It's a divisional game. I know they'll be back ready for the playoffs, but they had an opportunity there to win the number 1 seed and have something really special going into the playoffs, and were unable to finish it.
Yeah, you're right, Carey. They did. Honestly, the run defense, I know, from statistically, they're pretty good. But I think throughout the year, I'm like, man, I don't know why teams don't run the ball more on them. And the Lions did. But I do think, I thought the defense played good last night up until a certain point. And like you said, maybe it was their will was broke or whatever. But, when you're out in the field for, your offense goes 3 and out on a few different opportunities and whatnot. But they had takeaways. They had chances.
They had the I don't know what Jared Goff was doing, the one where he threw basically a Hail Mary from his end zone.
Right.
That was after you got stopped on the 4th down.
100%.
And you had the interception. Was it
Harrison Smith.
Harrison Smith.
Yeah.
So Harrison Smith makes the great interception at midfield to get the ball right back. I thought the Minnesota defense played well until the dam broke in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. And honestly, this upcoming Monday night game is,
I think it's fascinating.
It is. Well, think about it. I was thinking about this. If, let's say they lose, they went the entire season, and if, let's say they lose to the Rams, they would have lost to 2 teams all season because Lions in the first go-around, and then the next week they lost to the Rams. This is the same situation where you lose to the Lions, and now you're taking on the Rams again on the road, and this will tell me if this is a different type of Vikings team if they can come up and win this game.
Yeah, and this Rams seems interesting too.
I don't know what version is going to show up.
The Rams offense has been inconsistent all season long. I don't really love their secondary. I don't think this is a great matchup for their cornerbacks, CD. When you look at Justin Jefferson and you look at Jordan Addison and even Naylor and Hawkins. Minnesota matches up very well against this Rams secondary. Unless Sam Darnold is out there seeing ghosts, and every time L.A. blitzes, he's looking to bail out. We saw that last night.
They need to run the ball more.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, for me, I know Sam Darnold is going to get a majority of the blame, but Justin Jefferson was covered pretty well. Mick Robinson was in his hip pocket pretty much the entire night. He was unable, and that's not something we are accustomed to seeing from Justin Jefferson. He beats everyone. And so the fact that Robertson was able to stay with him pretty much throughout the entire night, hold him to 3 catches. You hold an elite receiver like that to 3 catches. It's not because Darnold did. It's not because Sam Darnold wasn't trying. If you're trying to go to your best receiver and he's not open, you're going to have a tough day. So I think it goes hand in hand. Both of those guys needed to play better, but I expect Justin Jefferson to make things happen and get open. He missed a couple of passes. He missed one down there in the end zone where I think he mistimed this jump where he did get open on a slant and go, look like. But there were some missed opportunities where if you make those catches, the game has changed in a different direction. And Marshy, we don't blame referees around here. You know the rule.
Oh, I'm not blaming the referees. Like I said, hey, Sam Darnold was terrible yesterday. They don't. That's the bottom line. Like, they could have held in penalties and whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they didn't get the job done.
It was a factor, not the factor.
It was a factor, wasn't the factor. And honestly, like, the refs, I thought there was multiple times where the Vikings got bailed out on non-called for delayed penalties.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
Yep.
But for me, I think they needed to lose this game to reset and get back at it. 4 wins, baby. All we need is 4 wins.
There you go. That's Andrew Marsh. He's back. He's back, baby. 2:18, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. We'll tell you where Nolan Arenado is willing to waive his no-trade clause to play in or play for. That's next in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. So according to John Denton of MLB.com, who covers the Cardinals for, again, MLB.com, Nolan Arenado is willing to waive his no-trade clause to go to the Boston Red Sox. This is according to a John Denton source. The Red Sox have emerged as a strong candidate to land Arenado via trade from the Cardinals, a source told MLB.com in recent days. Boston could be close to pulling out of the weekend, the sweepstakes, for free agent third baseman Alex Bregman, who could potentially command a deal worth $200 million per a source. Arenado, who's owed $74 million over the next 3 years, could soon be headed to Fenway Park, a right-handed hitter's paradise, and a place that could revitalize his power slump. The Red Sox certainly make a lot of sense. They can move Rafael Devers to first base or maybe DH CD. The Red Sox, I don't know if they would give Arenado what he wanted in terms of like being a legit contender, because this has been a team that has seemingly said, you know what, we're not willing to enter the same sweepstakes as teams like the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Astros or the Phillies, I should say. But again, I think it would make sense from an offensive standpoint. He's never played in the American League. He would be on a team that's got a rich history, but ultimately, again, I don't know if this is something that he was looking for from a top contender.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. We don't know what his desires are in terms of where he wants to play. We know he nixed the trade to Houston a couple of weeks ago, and that was a place where he obviously didn't want to go. But I don't know what his desires are. We saw the list earlier this offseason of a few teams that he was willing to go to. But I think it just boils down to, I think we all thought he wanted to win a championship. And
right.
if you're playing for the Dodgers, that's probably the number one goal, along with the weather. I mean, I look outside right now, and I would much rather be in L.A. than stuck in a hotel.
How dare you?
I wish I had my Dodger blue glasses with me right now.
Unbelievable.
But I think, where he wants to play is going to be the deciding factor. Obviously, he has the option and the opportunity to decline any offers or any trades that are presented to him. And if he wants to go to Boston, if that's a place where he sees himself playing and having success and having fun, then I'm sure they'll make it happen. But again, it's hard for me to say because we don't know what exactly he wants.
Right.
Like we're all kind of blinded and in the blind trying to figure out what it is he wants. We know what the Cardinals want. They want a dump salary. They want to move on. They want to open a position for Nolan Gorman and to free up some spots for Brendan Donovan to probably be your everyday second baseman. But what does Nolan Arenado want? Because at the end of the day, he's the one that gets to make the final decision. He's the one that has the no trade clause. So, and as we've seen already, he can nix it if he doesn't want to go to a certain place.
CD, you bring up an interesting point. You bring up a really good point, and it's one I can't help but chuckle at because we ultimately don't know what these players want.
No.
We think we know, but we don't know. Going back to the old Jim Mora, you think you know, but you really don't know. He was talking to the media, the former New Orleans Saints head coach. We all assume that Arenado wants to play for a team that's going to spend big or maybe just the Dodgers. And maybe there's a lot of truth to that. But ultimately, we don't know what he's looking at when it comes to these other teams. So Boston could be a spot where he says, yeah, you know what, I think that's a great spot. I see a team that, can contend, at least contend more than maybe the Cardinals. I don't know. But we don't know what these guys are looking for. John in the Snake Pit brought up a really good point, though. John noted that Bloom would know what prospects would be intriguing in Boston's farm system. So that would be potentially a benefit for the Cardinals in dealing with Boston. Now, I'm assuming they'd still have to eat a fair amount of Arenado's contract to move him. But if they do that, then there should be a better trade-off when it comes to getting, receiving a better prospect. And again, Bloom would have intimate knowledge over Boston's farm system.
Yeah, he would have an understanding. And again, like you said, I wish we knew. I wish I could tell you Nolan Arenado wants to play on the East Coast. He wants to play on the West Coast. He wants to play with his best friend. He wants to play in an area where his family can watch him every single day. Or he wants to play where he can win a championship. And you know what? All those things could be true. I mean, you can't play on the East Coast and West Coast at the same time, but all the other things could be true.
Yeah.
It could be around family. It could be for friends. It could be for a championship. And it could be one place that he truly feels that that's a realistic possibility. The thing is, we don't know who's going to win a championship, but we know that the Dodgers are set. We know that the Mets are trying to get set. We know that the Yankees are set as well. So, there are some places and some teams that have some opportunities, but at the end of the day, I've been on Nolan Arenado's side since this whole thing began, because when you are a player and you work as hard as he has and you are as great as he has been, and I think that that's something Cardinal fans can be frustrated. They can not like, how these years have gone since him and Goldie were here. But he is a future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. He is a 10-time Gold Glove winner. He has worked his butt off to earn the salary and earn the right to have a no-trade clause and do all of those things in his contract. So for me, whatever he decides, I wish him the best. But if it's still here in the Cardinal uniform, I'll be excited to watch him play third base, because he is a Gold Glove third baseman and he plays it at an elite level. He may have not – he taken a bit of a step back a couple of years ago, but thought he played really well last year. So we'll see how it goes.
If this doesn't go through, I don't know what other team would make sense, though, for Arenado that we haven't already discussed. He nixed the deal to Houston. The Dodgers seemingly aren't in on him. I don't think the Yankees, I know that there was some chatter, hey, maybe the Yankees would take him and pair him up with Goldschmidt, but Goldschmidt's only going to be there for a year, probably.
Well, I don't know if you were there was a report, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a report that the Yankees did offer a trade and the Cardinals said no thank you.
Okay.
I think Marcus Stroman was in that trade.
Oh, that's right, the Stroman one. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
thank you.
There was that opportunity, but the Cardinals said no. So I thought about this, and I think about it in terms of, if Nolan Arenado did want to go to New York to the Yankees and the Cardinals said no, then you're probably looking at a person that is even more set in his ways and more stubborn and saying, nah, I'm not doing anything that's going to help you all.
Right.
This is all about me now. No longer will I be here to do the right thing for the organization. I've done that. Now I'm going to do the right thing for Nolan Arenado. I don't know if that's how he feels. That's how I would feel. But, I think Nolan Arenado is a man after my own heart after nixing a trade and saying no thank you. So, yeah, my kind of guy.
There you go. Well, if the deal doesn't get done with Boston, maybe you'll have an opportunity to root for Arenado again here in St. Louis. It's the Fast Lane on 101 at ESPN. Andrew Marsh is in the building, and he's got what's trending for us next in the Fast Lane.
Hey, it's Super Bowl champ Carey Davis, and with the weather the way that it is, I want you all to be safe out there on the road. However, if you do get into a little bit of a fender bender, my good friends at All Things Appearance can help you out. They can cover all things auto-related, from small scratches to major body work, standard maintenance, dent repair, collision repair. They can do it all. Their owner, Jeff, will work with you. He'll work with your insurance company, your warranty companies, to make sure you're getting the best price possible. Jeff also wants to make sure that the customers are being treated fairly and being treated right. He's not going to overcharge you for something that other places might. Even if it means not making as much money, he would rather keep you coming back as a happy customer. All things Appearance for you and your auto body needs. Reach out to him at 636-248-5051 or online at allthingsappearance.com. Jeff is not only the owner, he will also be the one you speak to directly. That number I just gave you is his personal number. He truly cares about you and getting you back on the road as soon as possible. When you reach out to him, he'll be the one that you're talking to. Again, that's 636-248-5051 or allthingsappearance.com, and tell him Carey Davis sent you.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are off today, but they'll take on the Minnesota Wild tomorrow, and you can listen to that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. We'll get to your Blues as they lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets over the weekend. But coming up next, we have What's Trending. Perhaps we'll dive more into the National Football League. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
What's trending now in the world of sports?
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
What's Trending Now is brought to you by Goodwill, creating opportunities and changing lives. Together, building a brighter future. Give hope, give local, give Goodwill.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN with Anthony Stalter and Carey Davis. I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. Gentlemen, Tyreek Hill once out of Miami, not because the weather is great there and he doesn't like the weather. I don't think he likes the team, gentlemen. And in fact, he changed his profile picture on Twitter or X to Antonio Brown when he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and decided to take his shirt off, Dean Portman style, and run down the field doing jumping jacks. And we never saw him again on the football field. He took his face and photoshopped his face on Antonio Brown, and that is his profile picture now on X. What are your thoughts on Tyreek Hill wanting out of Miami?
Well, it got you talking about it. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a frustrating time. They didn't have a really good year this year. The explosiveness that they showed last year. Last year was the year they scored 70 points, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Anthony? Was that the game?
Yeah, that was against Denver.
Yeah, they scored 70 points. So they haven't been nearly as explosive this year. I watched the post-game interview, and he talked a lot about Tua not being healthy, which that's going to impact your team. I probably wouldn't read too much into this. Sometimes players do this and may be looking for some more money. He may be, you got to use what you can to get the things that you want. So I wouldn't read too much into it, but it was funny. I did see the picture. I thought it was pretty funny. He put his face on top of Antonio Brown's body. I thought that was pretty crazy, but I wouldn't read too much into it.
Yeah, he could have stayed in Kansas City.
Could he?
He would have made less.
Exactly. So could he?
I don't fault. Hold on. I don't fault him. I don't fault him, CD, for going out and getting big money. He got it in Miami. Mm-hmm. He wasn't going to get that sort of money in Kansas City. But he did ultimately prioritize getting that contract over staying in a situation where he knew Kansas City was going to ultimately be in the playoffs at the very least, the minimum, every year with Patrick Mahomes and with Andy Reid. So, he wants out now because he's not winning in Miami. All right. I don't know if everybody's going to just go ahead and take that contract on now. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't feel bad for Tyreek Hill. He did what he had to do. And now he seemingly wants out, but maybe the Dolphins just say, no, we acquired you. We gave up all that draft capital. We paid you. You're a big part of our offense. We're not going to move you.
Yeah, I wouldn't. First of all, I think if Tyreek Hill is on the market, if they're willing to trade him, you're going to have some teams lined up. Now, does he want to go play for, I don't know, what terrible quarters, plenty of terrible quarterbacks. In some areas, some places he probably wouldn't want to go play. But you can't find, even at 30, I think he's 31, probably about to be 32, you can't find people that run that fast on the football field. So I think he was dealing with some injuries this year. I know he had a wrist injury that he talked about. He dealt with some things this season. I wouldn't read too much into it. I think he'll be a Miami Dolphin, and I think the Dolphins will be a better team next year with a healthy Tua and their guys coming back.
Yeah, Drew Rosenhaus was the one that said he'll continue to play through a torn wrist ligament, despite the fact that a lot of people apparently, according to Rosenhaus, said that he should have undergone surgery months ago. So if that is the case, and it's not just agent speak, good for him. He continued to go out there and perform for a team that was a fringe wild card contender just a couple of weeks ago. But ultimately, it was right after the game that he was asked about his future with the team and all that. And sometimes you just got to let things kind of settle down.
Yeah.
Guys, there were some incentives on the line yesterday for some of these NFL players, including the pride of Central Michigan, Cooper Rush, who didn't play.
How'd he do?
Well, he didn't play, Carey.
I benched him.
No.
Well, so it was reported on Thursday by CBS Sports NFL insider Jonathan Jones that Cooper Rush could have earned $500,000 in incentives if he played 55% of the team's snaps in 2024. Entering Week 18, Rush had played 52.5% of the Cowboys' offensive snaps, so he needed around 65 offensive snaps to clinch the full $500,000. Dallas ended up logging 75 offensive snaps on Sunday, so had Rush started instead of Trey Lance, he would have earned $250,000 more in incentives. Instead, he settled for the extra $250,000 for playing over 45% of the Cowboys' offensive snaps. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said he had no idea that this was even a thing, and that the Cowboys ended up going with Trey Lance to see what they could get out of the young quarterback. So Cooper Rush ends up getting screwed out of $250,000 for not playing.
It's terrible. You see what the Bucs were willing to do for Mike Evans with everything on the line. They're like, we're throwing. We don't care. We're not going to take a knee. And then you got Dallas screwing over one of the prides of Central Michigan. It's ridiculous.
Well, I would say Baker seems to me like the guy that even if they did call a knee in that situation, he's like, hell with that. You need how many yards? We're running this play and getting you the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep the guy out of the game, you don't allow him to have that opportunity. They didn't give Cooper Rush an opportunity. Jerry Jones is I would say he's full of crap. I'm certain he knew exactly how many snaps.
I'm sure he did.
He was praying that Trey Lance didn't go down in the first quarter with a turned ankle or a stubbed big toe. He was like, hey, we're not playing him. I've given out too much money to quarterbacks that ain't playing right now, so I'm not giving none to this guy. I've given him enough. Jerry Jones knew exactly how many snaps that young man needed to play in order to receive that benefit. He was not going to allow it to happen.
Carey, that's jet fuel right there.
Yeah. Good gas. He's gassing them. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yep.
He needed to save a couple extra bucks for his flights.
Yeah, right.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
That's tough. It reminds me of the Pirates with Vogelbach.
Mm-hmm.
Is that who it was? Or was it
it's Daniel Vogelbach. We're just going to release you now. Oh, really? Because I got a bonus coming in pretty soon here. We're done.
I had a teammate who needed, I want to say, I don't know if it was 7 carries or 7 yards or something for like $100,000, and they pulled him out of the game. I'm playing.
Dude, that's tough. And Jamie has talked about situations where he had a bonus on the line, came down the last game. He was likely going to be a healthy scratch, and he had teammates, veteran teammates, that said that they had an injury, so he could play. So it's just a matter of when a team does it right and a team does it wrong. And
are you willing to give your jersey to your head coach? Are you going to walk into his office alongside a bunch of other guys and hand them your jersey so this guy can play?
That's right.
Are you going to do it or not?
We've seen that.
We have.
That documentary was a little bit fictional. It wasn't accurate, as some would say.
Oh, Carey, stop. Next thing you're going to tell me is that the guy was offsides.
Well, I'm also going to tell you that maybe he wasn't really a person. I don't know. People say things.
I don't like where this is heading. Not one bit.
Are you serious?
Not one bit.
You're trying to tell me that guy was not a person when this team
he was a person.
Is still alive in the college football playoff?
That actually happened in that way.
I don't like it. I don't like it. Somebody,
I don't think that happened.
John from the Snake Pit says, thought that was Rowdy Tellez, the Pirates.
Oh, maybe it was.
I thought it was Vogelbach.
No, I think it is. I think it was Rowdy Tellez.
John might be right.
Yeah,
so.
same build.
It's a very similar build, that's for sure. By the way, I'm sure you guys talked about it. The MAC went 5-2 in the bowl games.
Oh.
No, we actually waited for you to bring it up.
Yeah,
We
5-2 in the bowl games.
Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, so.
We were waiting on you to come back and let us know.
Okay. Yeah. They're 5-2 in the bowl games. I'm surprised you guys didn't dive deeper into how, the college football playoff committee basically screwed up by not having a MAC team in the playoffs. I'm sure you guys discussed it, but again, 5-2 in the bowl games, very
Pretty
impressive.
Good. How did
We did talk about Illinois beating South Carolina last week.
That was a fun game. Interesting
really
game. CD, I meant to tell you. So I was driving around that day, and I think I went to the grocery store, and as I came back into the car, turn on the Sirius radio, and I wound up picking up Illinois' broadcast, and I mean almost immediately I heard your name. And I'm like, I had to double take because I didn't know if I was on our station or on Sirius, and there you were. Was that fun?
It was amazing. We had a great time. It's obviously also better when they win. Mm-hmm. That was Illinois' 5th time in program history having a 10-win season. And so, it was just special, man. It was a good year, good season, great bowl game. You had some energy, some coaches ready to fight, which I thought was amazing. I wanted to come down out of the booth because, I get involved and get excited about those types of things. But no, it was a good game. It was a great game, great environment. Orlando was amazing. We had a great time.
So what ultimately was Brett Bielema's problem?
So, on kickoff return, the returners do the T sign.
Yeah.
Which basically tells their return team that they're not returning the ball. The ball is either kicked out of the end zone or I'm going to down it. So it kind of slows everybody up.
Sure.
So South Carolina did the T sign. The returner caught the ball, and he took like 2 or 3 steps, like he was not doing anything. And then he threw the ball across the field, kind of like the Music City Miracle.
Yeah.
And trying to catch Illinois off guard, because when you make that T sign, not only does the return team stop, well, so does the kickoff team. Mm-hmm. So they were hoping that Illinois stopped running, didn't run through the whistle, and that South Carolina was able to just run up the sideline after he caught the ball,
like the Bears did. The Bears did it on a punt return yesterday.
The exact same thing, correct. So that's what they were hoping for. Illinois made the tackle at the 25-yard line, and so it wasn't a big deal. But when Jaheim Clark, the cornerback for Illinois, got injured near South Carolina sideline, obviously Coach B came out, checked on him, and he just looked to the South Carolina sideline and gave him a T and walked back. Man, it was nothing. And then you had Shane Beamer, hold me back. Shane, he can let you go. I don't think you want that far.
So that happened in the playoffs between the Bills and the Texans, where the Bills kicked off. The Texans return man gave a T. Ball hits the end zone and just stays in there. He never grabs it. But like the T, like you said, Carey, it's not at like an official fair catch or whatever.
Right.
And so the Bills went in, recovered the ball in the end zone. They gave him a touchdown, and then they went back and they said since that return man gave the T, he essentially gave himself up, and they took the touchdown back. That happened in the playoffs back in 2019. Mm-hmm. So
I didn't see that. Okay.
So now that like that, in court cases, they go back and they look at other things. Like they should have went back and looked at that and be like, hey, this guy actually kind of gave himself up. It should have never happened.
Yeah.
That's what he was trying to do.
And Bacon Wrapped Wiener did correct me. Bears did a fake catch, not the throw. So the Bears did what the Rams did the one year here in St. Louis, where they set it up where it looked like it was going to the one side, so everybody from the punt team ran to that side, and actually the punt went the other way. So you're right, Bacon Wrapped Wiener. Thank you. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. The Blues have played some pretty good hockey of late. They've won 4 of their last 6 games, but they seemingly can't do one very specific thing, which doesn't look good for the playoffs. That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're looking for a brand new vehicle or maybe a pre-owned car, truck, van, SUV, head out to Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum. Check out what they have going on. In fact, they've got great deals, including some great financing offers on 2024 Nissan Pathfinders, Rogues, and Nissan Frontiers. But it's much more than what they offer from a deal standpoint. Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum, they do a great job of taking care of you from sale to service. So when you go to Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum, you take advantage of the many financing options that they have. It's not just about, having great credit if you have bad credit and you're in a bad spot right now financially. But if you need a vehicle, Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum, they'll find a way to finance the vehicle for you. They've got the best financing that you're going to find in any dealership. They also give you the 30-day return promise. Within 30 days, if you're not completely satisfied with your vehicle or the sales service, bring it back and they'll refund your money and set you up with something else. Check them out online, autocentersnissan.com, or when you head out to Herculaneum, tell them Stalter sent you. It's Auto Center's Nissan.
Remember last year it took them until about game 25 to get a 3-game win streak. This season, game number 41, and they have not won 3 in a row. And instead of getting to 3 games above 500, they'll drop back to 1 game above. Puck cleared ahead. 5 seconds left in this one. 6-4 the score. The time winds down, and that'll do it. Blue Jackets continue to beat the Blues. They've won 3 straight over St. Louis. Send the Blues up to Minnesota now instead of on a winning streak, trying to avoid a losing streak.
That was Chris Gerber on the call Saturday, right here on 101 ESPN, your home with the Blues, as they fall 6-4 to the Blue Jackets. Curbs outlined it there, guys, with Andrew Marsh and Carey Davis. I'm Anthony Stalter. So the Blues win the Winter Classic in Chicago 6-2. Then they shut out Ottawa 4-0, and that was a beating that the Blues needed to hand the Senators after that 8-1 loss to the Senators earlier this year. But as Curbs outlined, the Blues have not won 3 straight games this season. It's brutal. And Saturday, guys, really for all intents and purposes, that should have been kind of a historic game. You had the milestone game for Colton Parayko. That was his 700th NHL game. You had Texier scoring against his, he recorded an assist, but he played his first 5 NHL seasons with the Blue Jackets, and, he's got 5 points over his last 6 outings. You had Cam Fowler netting his 100th career goal. There's a couple of really good things in that Columbus game. Unfortunately, one of them wasn't your goaltending because Joel Hofer allowed 5 goals, a couple of which were quite soft. So if you can't win 3 games, you're not going to win. You're probably not going to make the playoffs. You're certainly not going to go anywhere if you do get into the playoffs. So at some point, the Blues got to get on a hot streak here.
Well, I think, yeah, they do, but this is what we've seen pretty much all year. They are a team that is inconsistent, and, inconsistent teams usually don't make playoff pushes or playoff runs. And so for me, I think this is a team that I look at the positive side, right? I've told you all I'm not going to get too high or too low. I'm not going to ride the roller coaster. You score 14 goals in 3 games. That ain't bad. Right? Yeah. You can be excited about that. That's about almost 5 goals a game. You would expect to win all 3 of those games, and unfortunately, you just gave up 6 in the last one. So there are things that can be corrected. I think when you look at this team, you're looking at a team that is getting better marginally, game by game and year by year. Last year and the year before, there were times where this team couldn't score goals. There were times where the power play stunk, where it felt like it was deficient in the area of putting pucks in nets, and you're starting to see that. The goaltending is something I think we all believe is extremely good. So I don't concern myself too much with that. It's a team that is inconsistent. It's probably not a playoff team, but if they made the playoffs, you could be excited. But I've said it, and I'll say it again. I think this team is a few years away from being a real playoff contender, a Stanley Cup contender. But you have to go through these parts of it. And if you ride the wave and get so frustrated about, they should be playing, but you're going to lose your mind. You will, because it is frustrating. But Anthony, you're a coach. I've been a coach. We've all played sports, and we understand that some teams just aren't there yet, but you have some of the pieces, and I think they have the pieces in place to get there sooner rather than later.
No, I think it's incredibly frustrating, Carey.
I do appreciate your optimism, though, Carey, and I do appreciate your positive spin because you're not wrong.
You are keep it positive, man.
You are right. Like, this is still a retool team, and you have to take that step back and look at this and really understand what type of team they are. I'm just looking at the perspective of, okay, I'm looking at the standings here, and you are 2 points behind Vancouver for a playoff spot in that final wild card, which is great. But you also have 3 more games played than them. So there's a possible 6 points right there for Vancouver. Like, you just have to start stringing together wins. You don't need to go on like a 10-game heater. It'd be nice. It'd be real nice. Mm-hmm. But man, let's just start with the 3-game win streak. Like, can we at least get to that? And a team against Columbus. Now, they're a good team at home. Yeah. Like, they're a really good team at home. So it's not shocking that they beat the Blues. I just think it is shocking, though, that the Blues gave up 6 goals based on the way they've been playing.
I think that's the part where you have to be realistic about what the team is. Like, if you're looking at it from this is a playoff team or a team that can make a push in the playoffs and maybe make a run because you got stellar goaltending, then yeah, you would be frustrated. But if you're looking at it as a team that is inconsistent, that has had how many 3 coaches in 2 seasons, like, you have to look at it from a bigger picture and understand that you don't have to. You can be frustrated if you want to, but I'm trying to. But if you don't want to be frustrated, look at it and say, this is a team that is on their 3rd head coach in, is it 18 months? Like, you're still figuring things out, and they are better. They are further along right now than they were when Craig Berube got fired. They're further along right now than they were when Bannister got fired. They're still not there yet, but they are further along than they were when those two coaches were removed from their position. They still got some work to do. And I think the people become impatient and just want it to happen overnight. No, there's a reason why the two coaches got fired. They weren't playing well. And you're going to have times where you're going to be inconsistent, but do you see them getting better, marginally better, step by step, incrementally better? Then if you say yes, then eventually they'll get to the point where they do win those games. They do win 3 in a row. They do win 5 in a row. They're just not there yet, and you're going to be frustrated waiting or expecting them to be there.
And I think my frustration comes from, and it's like when we talk about, a lineup in baseball, know where your outs are if you're a team. I think with this, it's like know where your losses are. And this particular game is like one that you shouldn't lose. Like you need to have a win in this game. Because you are going to lose against some of the other better teams, and that's I don't want to say
just catch
fine.
Catch fire at some point.
Yeah,
I don't even Marsh. I completely understand.
Maybe you only need one really good winning streak that sets you up to keep going 2-1, 2-1, 2-2. Maybe 1-2, 2-1. Just give me one.
Yeah. Well, when you're trying to, if you look at other teams' hot streaks, right? If you get on a hot streak, it really doesn't matter who you're playing.
Right.
Bad teams, good teams, you're racking up victories. So I think, Marsh, you're not necessarily complaining about this specific game as much as you're just noting that this team has not caught fire yet, which leads you to say, okay, well, this is just going to be one of those inconsistent 500 teams.
It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 step forward, 1 step back.
You guys know the teams that catch fire? The good teams. They're really good.
You sick son of a... We're not going to sit here and listen to you say the Blues aren't good.
I think this team is good enough to do that.
Bad. They're just not great. Not right now.
Not until they catch fire.
You said what?
Not until they catch fire.
I think this team can be a good team, though. I think they have the pieces to be a playoff team. Not going to be the best team in the league, but it's not like they're full of bunch of rookies.
Yeah.
Look at the back end, veteran presence, good players, solid players, good goaltending, weapons up front, maybe not enough weapons, and maybe that's what, the issue is. I don't know, but I feel like this team is good enough to go on a run, and maybe my expectations are too high. I don't know, but I feel like they can do it. I think you just have to win games like that against a team like that. And, heading into that game, they were only 4 points behind you in turn. They're in a different conference, but Columbus is right around the same point total as the Blues right now. So it's not like the Columbus Blue Jackets are a terrible team, but to me, if you want to be a legit playoff team, you got to win games like that and go on somewhat of a run.
The Blues will say, go ahead, C.
Oh, I was going to say, Bacon Wrap Wiener said even dumpsters catch fire. So
very true. That's a great line. Bacon Wrapped Wiener he's on his game today.
He's locked in today.
He's locked in today. Blues and Wilds in a couple of nights. Pregame, 6 o'clock, puck drop at 7 o'clock. In fact, I said a couple of nights. It's tomorrow night. Blues and Wild tomorrow night. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Marsh had a pretty disturbing note about one Major League Baseball team in terms of spending. We'll get into that and talk about what's worse for Major League Baseball in that regard. That's next on 101 ESPN.
If you are thinking about selling your home, now is not the time to just pick any agent, maybe an agent that you've never heard of before, just because you're trying to sell your home. No, you call the best in the business, and that is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria understands the market right now. She understands where the market is trending. She also understands maybe the area that you live in the St. Louis area, what the pricing is of homes that are being sold and the houses that are being sold fast. This is why you need an expert like Gloria Liu, because she does understand all that, and she'll help you sell your home as fast as she possibly can. Gloria has a database with thousands of buyers in there that are ready, willing, and able to purchase your home, and that'll help drive traffic to your listing, hopefully create lots of showings, multiple offers, ultimately getting your house sold, maybe even for more money than you thought, which is exactly why you have to call Gloria Liu. When you do call her, tell her Jamie Rivers sent you in. Her number is 314-325-6888. Again, that's 314-325-6888. Or you can always visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Carey Davis and Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Shout out to the Snake Pit. Snake Pit's active again today. A lot of people at home, or if they did get into work, they're getting their work done and hopefully staying safe on the roads. Marsh, you had a pretty disturbing, at least for if you're a Minnesota Twins fan, a pretty disturbing nugget in terms of spending for the Twins and the Vikings. What was that?
Yeah, so I believe the Vikings spent more money to get their fans to the game yesterday, about $2 million, and they reference that on the broadcast too, to get their fans to Detroit for that rivalry game on Sunday Night Football. More money than the Twins have spent in the offseason. Wow. This offseason. Also, the Miami Marlins, and this is as of a few days ago, have spent $0 on free agents this offseason. They're the only team yet to spend at least $1.
Unreal.
The Miami Marlins.
They had a good year last year.
Well, no, Carey, we are.
Yeah, they don't have to do anything, CD. You're right. They had a good year.
Yeah.
Carey, they made the playoffs a couple years ago.
Oh.
That was not last year.
Oh, okay.
Look, I've talked about this from a standpoint of the Dodgers and the Phillies and all these big spenders. Like, Major League Baseball to me has become a bit of a turnoff. Like, all right, well, kind of know who the teams are going to be. Yes, you'll get the Diamondbacks or some other team that's a surprise. I get it. But ultimately, we kind of know who the contenders are going to be each and every year. But there is no doubt that this is worse for Major League Baseball. The non-spenders. It's worse for Major League Baseball and their fans than than a team actually trying to win and putting a good product on the field. Bottom line. It's not debatable, CD.
No, I agree. I think we talked about this. There needs to be we know there's not going to be a cap, right? Mm-hmm. But there needs to be a floor. There should be a certain amount of money that you have to spend every year in order to field a team that at least has a chance to win games or put yourself in a position to win games. If you're the Miami Marlins, and I know they finished dead last in their division. I don't know how many games they won. I didn't look it up, but I know they didn't win enough. And you just say, to hell with it, we're going to run it back. It's probably problematic for the game of baseball.
Yeah.
But if I'm the owner and people don't show up, kind of what you're hearing in St. Louis. If you're not going to show up to the game, we can't spend money. So you kind of get it's your fault, Anthony.
This is your
fault. It's not my fault. It's you.
You didn't show up.
I did my job.
You didn't line our pockets so we could get you a aging starter.
Exactly. So how do you rectify a situation like that? How do you force a team to pay money for players? You can't, unless there is a not going to be a cap, not going to be a ceiling, but it has to be a floor. It has to be a number. But what owner is going to agree to that? Especially teams like the Mets, the Pirates, the White Sox, teams that aren't interested in paying players over, what they feel that they need to be paid. They're going to pay them while they can, and then when they get to that time where it's time to sign a huge contract, all right, it was wonderful having you here. We appreciate your service. Have the best of luck going forward.
Right. I will say this, though. Maybe if we're talking about this just as a whole, Marsh, if you look at this just big picture.
Come on.
Big picture-wise, it might be one and the same. If you're the Marlins or you're the Pirates or you're a team that is in a market that you're not able to spend to the same level as the Phillies and the Dodgers, you just say, oh, the hell of it. What's it going to matter if we overspend on some of these, mid-tier free agents? And the Cardinals, I feel like, have been in this category where we're just going to overspend on some of the mid-tier guys, and it's not going to matter. Why should we go out and spend, overspend on the scraps that the Phillies and the Dodgers and whoever don't get? So I think it might be one and the same, which is why I keep coming back to you need a floor and a ceiling, and we're not going to see either.
Well, you're definitely not going to see a ceiling. I would never expect Major League Baseball to have a salary cap on how much they are going. Because how do you sign Juan Soto to $765 million? How do you sign Shohei Ohtani to $700 million?
Sure.
It's going to be impossible for those players. And that number has already been attained. So the next person that's due up is going to be like, nah, no way. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to do that. But the floor, for me, is something that I don't know if there's a way to consider it. I don't know if that would have to be, they would need to play more games. I know baseball is is one of those sports where they're so mindful of stats and numbers. And if you added more games, how would that change some things in terms of hits and home runs in a season and hits in a season and all of those things? But that's usually what the owners want. When you want more money or you want to start with something, it's usually, okay, well, more games, more revenue, more people going through the gates, more people buying concessions. I get 20 more games a year, or I get 10 more games a year. Sign me up. So it would probably start with that. But I think both, as you said, are a non-starter in terms of having a conversation.
Do you think that some of these owners are thinking, well, the Dodgers and, the Mets and all these other teams they're spending a buttload of money. Even if we spend a decent amount of money, it's still not going to be enough to win, so why even try? Do you think they have that mindset?
I hope not. As a player, I can tell you players don't think like that. Players don't think that they are inferior to another team because they have, quote-unquote, better players. Because that player X is getting paid more money. That's the part, that's what got you to that level, is your ability to compete. Not being afraid of the opponent across from you. And so players definitely don't think that way. I don't know if owners probably can convince themselves to think that way because it makes it easier to not have to spend money. Oh, we can't compete with those guys, so why even try? But as a player, we always feel like, I can beat anybody. So it's two different sides of the coin.
John from the Snake Pit, by the way, he just had the one of the more underrated movie quotes. He said, and it moved up on me, but he said, when you're thinking about architecture, you want to picture it as a whole. What movie?
I don't know.
I'll give you some time to think about it.
I don't know that.
Architecture. And,
The other guys.
no. It's much older.
Oh, I'm probably out.
You're not.
Was I born yet?
Yeah.
Die hard.
Actually, no, I don't think you were. I'll tell you in the break. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. There's something about Mary. I'll tell you now.
Something about Mary. You
Yeah.
know what? I think I have seen that movie.
Come on, you've seen that, right?
I think is that the one where she gets her hair, the bubble gum stuck in the hair, or there's something in the hair.
it's not.
It's not bubble gum. It's something in the hair. Yeah, I have seen that. I've seen that movie.
That's not bubblegum, but yes.
Yes.
This is Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Why don't we do advice with former athletes next? So if you got a question for our guy CD, 314-399-9646. Again, 314-399-9646, the Air Comfort Service text line. Advice with former athletes next in the Fastlane.
Give me some advice, quick.
All right, time for Advice with Former Athletes. We do this every Monday here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis is our former athlete right now. So if you do have a question, 314-399-9646. That's here, Comfort Service Sex Line. Marsh, fire away.
All right, let's start with the 217. When recovering from a repeat injury, if a new doctor gives you different advice than what worked the first time, how do you approach it?
I'm probably going with what worked the first time. No offense to the new doctor. Well, I guess the question would be, did it really work the first time if you re-injured it? That's something to think about as well. So maybe you do need to listen to the new doctor so that you don't re-injure it. So yeah, I think you do what feels good, what makes you feel better, and if it hurts while you're recovering, be careful so you don't re-injure yourself or re-injure something else. But listen to the doctor, and after thinking about it, you probably should listen to the new doctor so that you don't end up in the doctor's office again with the same thing.
Was there an injury that you had, Carey, that happened more than one time? And how frustrating is that, when that happens?
I rolled my ankles all the time. Even if I would wear tape, I would wear ankle braces, I would wear tape and ankle braces, I still found a way to roll my ankles all the time. So that would be the one injury. And high ankle sprain is awful. Some people say that it's better to just break your ankle than to have that ligament strained and stretched and torn or whatever for that amount of time. But ankle injuries were always bad. I only did pull the hamstring once or twice. You got to be really fast to pull hamstring, so didn't happen that often for me. But yeah, there nothing that other than rolling my ankles that I could say that I did repeatedly over and over and over again that hurt like hell.
From the 618, Carey. This is interesting. What goes into meal prepping as a athlete, and are there different sets of meals for different position groups?
Well, depending on your body type, I can't speak from a player because at that point we ate so much, and I mean so much. You were probably, because you're burning so many calories. So you might be eating 4,500 calories a day, maybe more, who knows? But it's all being burned at a rate that you don't gain weight for the most part. But in terms of different positions, so when we have team dinners or team meals, it's it's a few options for everybody. You choose what you want. But it wasn't specifically set up for certain people. Now, if you're trying to lose weight, obviously, you're gonna have less calorie intake than those that don't care or that are trying to gain weight. But it wasn't set up differently for each person.
From Bacon Wrapped Wiener, who's been very involved in today's show, how do you help a person determine what is hurt and what is injured?
Ooh,
the program.
Yeah. Are you hurt or are you injured? If you're hurt, you can keep playing. If you're injured, you can't. That's pretty much what it boils down to. For me, it's a mindset. I think to be an athlete and to make it to a certain level, you have to have a bit of it's like a gift and a curse. You have to have a little bit of sickness in you to where you kind of push yourself through some things that you probably shouldn't. And so it just depends on, for me, pain is at times it's mental, right? Because you can push through anything. Now, it's not always great, but you can push through anything. But I guess my thing is, if you are injured, for me, how I always looked at it, if I can walk, I can run. If I can run, I can play. And so if I can't walk, then I can't run and I won't play. But if I can walk normally, then I'm gonna run and I can play. But if you're struggling with certain activities, like I tell people, one of the worst injuries I ever had, I tore my labrum in my shoulder. And I was a guy that bench pressed 400 pounds and I couldn't get a 45-pound bar off my chest. It was just kind of, one arm was out like Superman and the other one was collapsed on my chest. But I kept playing and it hurt like hell. And I shed a little tear every time I hit somebody. Nobody knew because it was hot outside. It looked like sweat. I did it.
You cried?
Should I have
No.
done it? Probably not. But
Sweat.
it is what it is.
No, I got hit in the face with a baseball and my tear ducts broke. My nose is broke.
It does happen. Good pull, Marsh.
Yes. Carey, from the 314, what's going through your mind if you're a Cincinnati Bengals player, knowing the Chiefs had to beat Denver and basically did not even try? What's going through your mind if you're part of that locker room?
I'm thinking about when vacation is starting, what plans I have for the off season. I don't care. The Chiefs didn't owe me anything. I did this to myself. I didn't win. We didn't win. We didn't put ourselves in a position. If I'm an offensive lineman, I am ashamed. I should wear a badge of shame around my neck everywhere I go in the city of Cincinnati. Like, don't protect our franchise quarterback well enough and he gets hit too much. They should be ashamed is how they should feel. They shouldn't feel anything about what the Kansas City Chiefs didn't do the other day. They should be ashamed of the damn selves for not taking care of their business.
Amen.
So, yeah.
All right, last one here from the 618. What age do you think is a good age for kids to start lifting weights?
Most people say middle school, so 12 to 14 area age range. Make sure that they are, for me, the most important thing when you're teaching kids how to lift is doing the technique properly. I don't care how much weight you can put on or how much they think they can put on. If they're not doing it properly, then it's going to be problematic later on in the long run. And for me, it's always easier to teach it the right way than to fix something that is done in the wrong way. So teach them proper technique. Don't let them overtrain. Don't let them use too much weight. Let them build that up and work and learn how to engage their core and learn how to use the weight properly before they start putting too much weight on there. But middle school is usually fine. 6th, 7th, 8th grade, they usually are good to get started. But like I said, just start them off slowly and work their way up. And you can always do push-ups, sit-ups, control your body weight, pull-ups. Are good for young athletes. Learn how to control your own body weight before you try to control some weight under a bench or under a squat rack or anything like that.
Is it a myth that if you start lifting weights at a young age, it'll stunt your growth? Or is that true?
I think that is a myth. Now, I will say this. Everybody in my family is 6 feet and over. I am the runt of the litter. I am the smallest one. My brothers are all 6 feet. My father was 6'2", 6'3". I don't know what happened. All my cousins, I got a cousin that's 6'7". His dad is 6'4". These are first cousins. I don't know what happened to me. I did start lifting younger, but I did also hear that that's a myth. So, who knows? But I do think it's a myth. I think you can lift. I think it actually helps.
I think it's great advice about the proper technique. I mean, even for, not just kids, but for adults.
Yeah.
You're like,
oh, man.
You see some people with horrible form just trying to lift the weight up or, Marsh.
I'm talking about the guys that are, they're just...
Let's slow down. Let's control the weight first. Let's build it up, and then you can go from there.
Work your way up.
Yep. All right, NFL season takeaways. What were our biggest takeaways from the regular season? That's next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues have tonight off, but they'll take on the Minnesota Wild tomorrow. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. And, of course, you can listen to that one right here on 101 ESPN. We have the FCS pregame show for you at 5:30. Kickoff is at 6. And you can listen to that, of course, right here on 101 ESPN. We're going to dive into the NFL. We have our season takeaways. That's coming your way next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by
Saliga
Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Our season takeaways, regular season takeaways from the National Football League. Andrew Marsh, Carey Davis, I'm Anthony Stalter. Maybe we should start here. What was the most surprising thing to you guys based on your expectations coming into the year? CD, how about you?
I got to give credit where credit is due. I'll start with Josh Allen. I did not think that by trading away one of your best players in Stephon Diggs, losing Gabe Davis, that he would be in the position to even be mentioned in the MVP candidate race, let alone probably leading it at this moment. So I would start with Josh Allen and how well he's performed this year. And he's done a fantastic job. So that would be my number one right now.
I think for me, it was, I mean, you could go in a lot of different directions here, but the Rams winning the NFC West, I did not see coming at all. You have Aaron Donald retire. I thought that defense was going to be atrocious. And really, they had a point differential of -19. So it's not like, credit them. They won the division. They were 10-7. They did what they had to do, right? But it was really about the 49ers crashing than the Rams earning, that ultimate spot. And they were clearly the best team. It's just, I think the 49ers window collapsed much sooner than I thought. So that was one of the bigger surprises for me.
Mine is very similar to yours in terms of like the 49ers just not even being a playoff team and I know the Super Bowl hangover is a thing, but I didn't think they'd be this bad. Yeah. They were bad. Mm-hmm. Like all year. And I know they had injuries throughout the season, but they have before. Yeah. And they've managed to get by those injuries, and it just wasn't their year this year. And that was very surprising to me. I understand maybe not winning the division, but not making the playoffs in general. Yeah. That was very shocking.
And I was hanging on way too long. I kept thinking that eventually they'll get there. Eventually things will turn. And I can't remember what week it was, but I remember coming on the air and just saying, it's done. Unfortunately, it's over with. The other team that I got completely wrong, I thought they were going to have an okay year, but I didn't think that they were going to be anywhere close to 10 wins. And granted, they had a rough stretch down the stretch. They had a rough time. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, your Steelers, Carey, I did not have them in the playoffs. I did not have them winning the division for the majority of the season. And again, a bad December cost them. But the Steelers, I did not see winning 10 games this year with the quarterback situation that they had.
Well, I saw them actually having a better team because I felt like they got better at that position and they went to the playoffs last year. So for me, if you upgrade at the most important position, I would assume that you would be better. The end of the season, the 4-game skid that they finished off this regular season with is frustrating. I haven't been able to sing my song in a while. I don't want to sing it because it's frustrating to even think about singing it. But yeah, they haven't played great. They haven't done great at all to end the season. The other team, I was going to say for you, the 49ers, I think when they lost to the Rams, that 12-6 game, I think that's when you finally said, okay, that's enough.
Did it take me that long, CD?
I think so. Oh. I'm pretty sure. Because they might have still been in had an opportunity to get first place. If they'd have won that game, I think they were still fighting for it.
Yeah, so it might have been.
I think it was that game.
They're coming off the game against the Bears, too. And, yeah. I mean, look, the Bears are the Bears. But Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. That one's tough.
It was a couple of teams for me that I also was surprised about. Well, Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears would be one. And then, Marshy, I'm going to throw you under the bus with me because we both watched Hard Knocks. I won't say you forced me to watch it, right? I won't say that. Because you spoke about it in such a way.
It was a good show.
It was engaging, and I was like, yeah, this sounds amazing. And then I watched it, and then you and I both said, they might know something here. Why should they didn't know nothing? They knew nothing at all.
No, they were terrible.
They didn't know what they were doing.
By they, you mean the Giants, of course.
So are we.
I think the way that they did a hell of a job editing that show.
It was awesome, right?
It was great. It was great. They made me believe that the Giants would be a better team, not a great team, but a better team than what they were last year, and that just wasn't the case. They actually, I think, got worse. I don't know. Like, I need to go back and watch that again just to kind of, like when you know what happens and let me go back. And maybe there's some things that I missed here. The more I think about it, I think everybody around Joe Shane knew more than he did.
It looks
Including his
that way.
kids.
Like, they were trying to tell him, and he was like, no, this is it. This is the way.
Now I'm going to eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and head to work and not sign Saquon and watch him, almost go break the single season rushing record.
He would have had they played him yesterday.
You know what does it though, Marsha? It's the music. It's not so much the words. It's the music that they put behind it. And when they add that music, you're like, you're like, yeah. This is an important moment. Yep. This is gonna happen.
Then they got,
and then it didn't happen.
It's gonna change things.
They got Liv Schreiber, however you say his name. He's the
actor.
Yeah, he's the actor, but he's the voiceover guy.
Yeah,
just amazing.
I was in. I was sold. I bought it.
That's hilarious. Some other takeaways here. Buffalo. I think the Bills. You had brought up the Bills, Carey. I think the Bills' demise was, a lot of people they're flat out wrong with that. They thought, Stephon Diggs, he's no longer there. Yeah. I thought they built a better team. They weren't just, hey, we're going to have one guy, and even though he's explosive and he's Stephon Diggs, we're going to give multiple options for Josh Allen. We're going to build a more physical defense. And for the most part, they've done that. 13-4. Tough draw, Denver right away, but I still think that they're going to advance. And then you got Baltimore. Houston, not a surprise that they won the division, but man, Houston did not look good. They won the division by default.
Has Houston ever played a playoff game not on Saturday at 3:30?
No. They are the opening game
every single year.
Anytime the Texans make the playoffs, that's the game that they give it to ESPN, and ESPN's like, damn, the Texans again.
Houston.
Yeah, at least you get Herbert and CJ Stroud. You could do a lot worse, and they have. Like, there's been times where Derek Carr with the Raiders got hurt, and you had whoever the backup was for them. Or I remember one year the Jaguars played somebody. It was like a 9-6 game. It was just awful.
I think that would go back to last year. Houston and the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. Same game.
Yeah, that's right.
Same time, knuckleheads.
That was actually good, though. I see it. I hear you.
That's another team that was a surprise, the Cleveland Browns. The team made the playoffs last year, head coach of the year in Stefanski, and they started 5 quarterbacks last year.
Yeah.
They might have started 5 this year as well, if I'm not mistaken. 4 for sure.
Watson,
DTR,
Jameis, and Jameis, and then Zappy. Right, they started 4. Yeah,
they started 4 this year. I think they started 5 last year.
Jeez.
And made the playoffs. That's a team that's hard to figure out. So
yeah, certainly. All right, in a little bit, we are going to discuss not only Black Monday in the NFL, but also we're going to take a look at the NFL wild card, get a look at that first look, get some thoughts on the wild card matchups. I actually think each matchup, there's some sort of intrigue to it. And I love the fact that we've got 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, then 1 on Monday night. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Marsh, you got to wait until Monday night. I think that's good, though. As a fan, I want to wait I want to watch all these games and then my favorite team play last. I'll never see it again because the Falcons will never make the playoffs. But for you, Marsh, it's kind of fun.
So I was thinking the same thing this past week. I was like, oh man, like Sunday night football, yeah. And I'm watching all these garbage games throughout the day, and I'm like, when does my game start? Like, can we just skip to,
That was rough. You had a lot of most of the teams weren't
Carey
playing for anything.
Underwood singing, like, are you ready for some football? Exactly. That was me. I was waiting all day for Sunday night. And then it came and it went, and I was like, I can't believe I waited all damn day to watch this garbage. So that's how I want to feel this upcoming week. If they have the same type of performance that they did on Monday, I'll be like, I can't believe I went this entire year, got my hopes up, only to watch this team do the same exact thing they did in week like 6 and 7.
It's going to be different, though, Marsh. You're going to get Snoop Dogg, and you're going to get, who is it? Is it Zach Brown? Who's the country guy?
Yeah.
On Monday night? That intro is awesome.
It'd be good, man. Have fun.
I mean,
for this moment.
They got to go to L.A.
I mean, you know what? The Rams, this is what's going to happen. Well, the Rams, we want that Lions and Rams matchup again. Like, let's throw another flag or not throw a flag because Sam Darnold got his face mask grabbed again, which happened again last night.
Marcy, that didn't matter.
No,
They
I
would
know.
never
I texted my friends. I said the NFL does not want the Vikings to win this game. I did. They don't. Why would they?
Did Sam Darnold want the Vikings to win that game?
No. He didn't either.
It'll be fun. All right, we'll take a look at those wild card
Just give
matches.
me one win.
You
Just
don't
give me
get
one.
paid. You don't get paid when you're the number 1 seed. You take that week off. So when you're in the wild card weekend, your
You get
team
paid?
actually gets paid.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
But you're the number 1 seed.
You play, you
don't
pay.
get a paycheck. So maybe they wanted a few extra dollars in their pockets. Huh?
There you go. Yeah.
Sounds very selfish to me.
All right. As the college,
I'm just fired up, gentlemen.
as the college football playoff, has it been a success? Well, like I said earlier, no MAC teams in the college football playoff. Could have used some more MAC, that's for sure. But we'll discuss that anyways. Next on 101 ESPN. So when I was off, I'm sure you guys talked a lot about the college football playoffs, but as I was watching the games unfold, I'm really close. Texas and Arizona State wound up being back and forth. Obviously, that one went to overtime. That wound up being exciting. I thought for a second there my Sun Devils were going to reach the next round, guys. Remember, you guys were giving me crap that I took Arizona State over Boise State in our little college football playoff.
Do we remember who we chose in our pick'em thing?
Of course we do. Marsh, tell us.
You wrote it down?
Oh yeah, I wrote it down. It's in the office.
Oh,
It's in the office. Yeah, I don't have that lodged in my brain. I know that Jamie took Georgia though. He stole that right from Anthony.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
which is fine.
They're out.
Which is fine. Yeah.
I had Notre Dame. I know that was one team.
You had Oregon too, didn't you?
I think so.
I have Penn State. I think Penn State's the only team I have that have made it. Who's got Ohio State? Marsh?
Did I have Ohio State?
Yeah, like I said, it's not lodged in my brain. It's on a sheet of paper in the office.
Horrible job, by the way. Horrible job of remembering. I mean, just dreadful. Anyways.
We can't even remember what segment's coming up next. You think we're going to remember something from 3 weeks ago?
Absolutely not. I remember Jamie taking Georgia from me because of, a little snafu. Whatever it was that he's like, oh, well, no, we gotta roll the dice again here. We gotta spin the wheel again.
Yeah.
So he wound up with Georgia. I wound up with Arizona State, which almost, again, worked out for me. And I know I had Penn State. Other than that, I can't remember. But do you guys view this college football playoff a success, even though really most of these games have been blowouts? Carey, do you still view this as a success?
I do. I think it hasn't been, great football in terms of the scores. You saw Ohio State beat up on Tennessee. You saw Penn State beat up on SMU. Like, you've seen some games where you were like, I don't need to watch that. But I think you've also got to see games that you wanted to see. You wanted to see Tennessee go into Ohio State. You wanted to see Georgia play Notre Dame. Now, all four of the top seeds lost, right? All teams that had a bye, they ended up losing.
Yep.
But you wanted to see those games. You wanted to see Oregon and Ohio State match up again. I have no problem with it because I think every team that was in there deserved to be there. We also heard grumblings and people upset about, South Carolina got left out and Alabama got left out. They both lost their bowl games to Big Ten teams. I'm just saying. But you didn't miss anything, right? I don't feel like you were missing a team. I don't feel like there was a team that was a lock to win the national championship. You've gotten to see some pretty good football. It hasn't all been great, but I think it's been fun. So for me, I have no problem with how things are going and how it has turned out this first year.
Yeah, I also thought of you, Carey, when Alabama lost to Michigan in the bowl game. And look, you can seriously say, well, a meaningless bowl game. Alabama played most of its starters, including Jalen Milroe. And they looked terrible, especially in that first half. They put the ball on the ground consistently. Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator for Michigan, put together a tremendous game plan against Alabama. So the whole, well, when are you going to put the best 13, or the best 12 teams in, as opposed to just, looking at it and talking about like the regular season, the way it stacks up and things like that. Dude, you lost your argument. When Michigan beat Alabama, they did just fine. The committee did just fine. Even if the games didn't play out the way we all hoped it would, as in every game was close, I think that the 12 teams that they selected were fine. Based on the regular season.
I tell people that Michigan team, in my opinion, was one of the worst teams I've seen. And you can look at their record right now, and they're 8-5. They won their last two games, one against Ohio State, one against Alabama. But that Michigan team is terrible. Like, they can't throw the football. It's 2025 now. They couldn't throw it in 2024 either. They had 160 yards of total offense. They aren't good. Mm-hmm. But they were able to beat a team that everyone says should have been in the playoffs. So I didn't have a problem, again, with the teams that were in. I thought Arizona State, they started out sluggish. They started out slow, and then they turned it on and found a way to push it into overtime and into double overtime. Just didn't get enough there at the end. But I've enjoyed. That was a game I enjoyed watching. I was on the plane coming back from Florida. I didn't get to watch the Oregon and Ohio State game, but I didn't need to. From what I was told, it was
no, you didn't miss
34-8
anything.
at halftime. I didn't miss much.
And by the way, I'm glad that was a second round matchup as opposed to, because a lot of people, like even Jason's bringing up, hey, what about the system of buys and the seeding and everything like that? If that was a final,
you'd have been really upset.
You'd be real pissed. So
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that played out the way it did. If that was going to happen the way it did, and that was neutral ground.
Yeah.
That was a neutral ground, and Ohio State took it to Oregon. So if that was going to be the game that played out, fine, good. Have it be the second round, and we can move on.
I think for me, like, the games haven't been entertaining compared to the expectations of what I had this being. Like, I think the expectations were so high, like, this is going to be great, 12-team playoff, and this is going to be fantastic because we have more teams, and, like, the games just haven't been riveting, except for the Texas-Arizona State game was great. Other than that, like, none of the games have been riveting, in my opinion.
From an enjoyment standpoint, you're
Which
right, Mark.
stinks.
Yeah.
Like, so I think the system itself, I think, is fine. We need more years to really get a grasp of what this looks like from a long-term standpoint. I need to see it play out next year. Maybe next year it's the same thing, same type of season. Everybody, the 3 losses and all these different things that are happening. But maybe the first round is a little bit closer. I think it just depends on how the games play out to really say, well, this is a success or not. Like, from that standpoint, I don't think it has been because the games have not been exciting.
No,
I'd rather watch a Saturday football game with the Bengals going up against the Broncos going to double overtime when no one wants to win a game. I found that more entertaining than some of these other college football games. It is what it is.
Yeah, from that standpoint, but I don't know what else you do. Because if
you put Ole Miss in the college football playoff, they deserve to be in it based on what I saw.
But the regular season has to count too.
No, I understand. I understand.
I think the bigger problem here is that you don't have even conferences. You don't have a fair regular season that's going to play out like the NFL does. But you're right. I mean, the games have not been compelling outside of one. So hopefully the final 4 teams, the final 3 games, will be good. You do kind of weed everything out and you get to it. But ultimately, I still prefer this, even with, because you can't do anything about the game. Once the game starts, you have no idea. You can't tell me that every game is going to be compelling. But I'd rather have this format than other formats.
I prefer this because if you had the old format, Oregon would have been in the Final Four, Georgia would have been in the Final Four, Boise probably not. But you probably have, Texas or, I don't know who else you would have put in there. But Georgia and Oregon both are in the Final Four, right? If you're just going in the past playoffs setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State.
Right.
You probably have Ohio State. Neither of Oregon or Georgia are in the playoffs anymore. So the old format, the new format has worked. You gave those teams a bye because they earned it. They won their conference. They won They were one of the best teams in the country to finish the season. Oregon hadn't lost a game. Georgia had lost 2. And so they earned that right, but then they got knocked off. And in years past, nobody would have had that opportunity to do that. One of those 2 teams, or maybe both of them, would be in the national championship game. So for me, that's why it's worked. Because you can't just say, okay, this is the top 4 teams in the country. Boom, you're 1 game away from the national championship. Nah, now you have to earn the right to be in that national championship, and I think that that's what this has done.
And I will say there are 2 teams left in this playoff that I really don't think are that great.
Texas is one.
Yes, Notre Dame's the other one.
You don't think Notre Dame's great?
I don't think they're great compared to the other 2 teams.
I think Notre Dame's pretty good.
You think they're better than Penn State?
I agree.
All I know is the only team that has lost to that played and lost to a MAC team was Notre Dame.
Okay.
I actually don't know. The other ones may have won.
I would be shocked if Texas beats Ohio State.
Oh, Texas is not beating Ohio State.
No way.
Nah.
No, they'll probably win now. They'll probably beat them now.
All right, we got the Gauntlet next on 101 ESPN.
Warriors. 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you survive the Gauntlet?
Brought to you by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for a free inspection.
403, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Carey Davis and Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter, and we welcome in Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing great. So, Andrew, you beat Carey, correct?
Correct.
All right, so this is round 2 here of the Gauntlet. Andrew, who would you like to take on? Would you like to take on your other Andrew here or me?
I'll take the other Andrew.
All right. So Marshy is up first. So go ahead
Andrew
and
squared.
Go ahead and tell Marsh to spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel, please.
All right, so Marsh is spinning the wheel now, and he's going to hand us the launch codes for this one. Then he's going to get out of here. What are you hoping for, Andrew?
Hockey or baseball, I think.
Hockey or baseball. Okay. I'm going to wait until Marsh leaves and then let you know what you got here. Marsh is the only one running the board, so.
Got to do everything.
Get out of here, Marsh. And 3, 2, and 1. Football is your category, Andrew. Football, yeah. So let me.
I wish we would have had that last time, Anthony.
Well, I'm sorry, Carey. Carey, by the way, I'm going to send you the questions right now. We're going to do this all live, but at least you know, hey, look, we're legit here, okay?
Yeah,
It's not like Carey, here's how I found the questions. No, I have to text them to you. All right. So, Andrew, as Carey gets set up with those questions, each question is worth 2 points unless you ask for the options. If you ask for the options, those questions become worth 1 point. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Question 1. The Chiefs currently have 15 wins on the season. They're the first team since 2015 to have 15 wins. Which team went 15-1 in 2015?
That was the Carolina Panthers. Final answer.
Question number 2. Joe Burrow was drafted first overall in the 2020 draft. Which quarterback from that draft has thrown for more yards than Burrow?
I'm going to say Justin Herbert. Final answer.
All right, Andrew, question number 3. Aside from Tom Brady, what other quarterback has won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Oh my gosh, I can see his face, but I can't see the name on the back of his jersey. I'm going to kick myself for not taking the option, so I'm going to take a shot here. Rich Gannon, final answer.
Okay.
Question number 4. Trent Dilfer did win a Super Bowl for the Ravens in 2000. He took over for which quarterback who started the season 5-3? Dilfer went on to go 7-1 the rest of the season.
Options, please.
Was it Chris Redman, Tony Banks, or Elvis Gerbach?
Whoever the first guy was, I'll take him.
Chris Redman?
First guy? Chris Redman?
Oh, yeah, Chris Redman.
Final answer?
Final answer, yes, sorry.
All right, that's okay. All right, we'll bring back Marsh here from the Cone of Silence. Andrew, how you feeling?
Pretty good about the first 2. The last 2 could go either way.
Okay. All right, Marsh is walking back in from the Cone of Silence right now. He's got his blue hat on. Stuck in the snow earlier. A kind soul decided to help Marsh dig out of that snow.
He did.
Yeah. So Marsh is here today because of that person. We'll call him, I don't know. What did he look like? A Jason?
Bob.
A Tim? Bob?
Yeah, Bob's fine.
Bob, yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Jim Bob Cooter
Thanks, Bob.
helped out Marsh today to get out of the snow.
Former Giants. No,
Lions OC.
Lions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was a Lions OC.
thinking of somebody else.
I don't think that was him, guys.
No,
You don't think he helped Marsh get out of the snow?
No.
I don't think it was him.
Okay. Anyways, Marsh, your category today is football.
Okay.
Football is your category. Are you ready?
I believe so.
CD? Tell
Pack
them.
a lunch.
All right.
Okie dokie.
The Chiefs currently have 15 wins on the season. They're the first team since 2015 to have 15 wins. Which team went 15-1 in 2015?
15-1 in 2015. I believe, and I think the only reason I know this is because Anthony Stalter was talking about it a couple weeks ago, that the Carolina Panthers had been undefeated heading into that Super Bowl season, and the only team to beat them in the regular season was the Atlanta Falcons. So give me the Carolina Panthers. Final answer.
Remember that Julio Jones catch?
Question number 2. Joe Burrow was drafted first overall in the 2020 draft. Which quarterback from that draft has thrown for more yards than Burrow?
Ooh, 2020. Who was in that class? Oh, jeez. Man, I think it may be Justin Herbert. Who was in that class? Herbert got drafted. 2020. I'm going to shoot from the hip. I'm going to go Justin Herbert. Final answer.
All right, Marsh, question 3. Aside from Tom Brady, what other quarterback has won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Has won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who was that? Was that Brian Greasy? They beat the Oakland Raiders in the Super Bowl, and I believe that was in San Diego that year. Let's use the options. I think I might know who it is, but I'm going to need the options.
Brad Johnson, Brian Greasy, Trent Dilfer.
Wasn't Trent Dilfer. Brad Johnson. Was it him? Oh, was it Brian Greasy? Oh. Maybe it wasn't Brian Greasy. Brad Johnson. It might be him. I'm going to go Brad Johnson. I might pull an Anthony Stalter here, but Brad Johnson, final answer.
Wow.
Trent Dilfer did win a Super Bowl for the Ravens in 2000. In 2000, he took over for which quarterback who started the season 5-3? Dilfer went on to go 7-1 the rest of the season.
Yeah, no idea. Options.
Is it Chris Redman, Tony Banks, or Elvis Gerbach?
Say those again.
Chris Redman, Tony Banks, or Elvis Gerbach?
Elvis Gerbach, Tony Banks. I've heard of two of those guys, so I'm gonna go with the first guy. What's his name? Redman?
Yep.
Tony Redman?
Chris Redman.
Chris Redman. Final answer. Old Red.
Okay, let's go over these. Andrew versus Marsh. Here in the Gauntlet. We're going to start off with that fourth question because I like the way you guys answered that. Trent Dilfer did win a Super Bowl for the Ravens in 2000. He took over for which quarterback who started the season 5-3? Dilfer went on to go 7-1 the rest of the season. Andrew, you said, I don't know, give me the first name, which was Chris Redman. Yeah. Marsh, you said, I don't know, give me the first name, which is Chris Redman. You guys both said Chris Redman, and you both took the options. Correct answer is
Tony Banks.
Tony Banks was the correct answer. Tony Banks.
It's Adam's dad.
Adam Banks' dad. Nope.
I don't think they're related.
I don't think so either.
No.
All right, so we have a 0-0 tie. The Chiefs currently have 15 wins on the season. They're the first team since 2015 to have 15 wins. Which team went 15-1 in 2015? Marsh, you had said that you and I are having the discussion about the Panthers when they went to the Super Bowl, and their only loss that year was in Atlanta. So you took the Carolina Panthers. Andrew, you also said the Carolina Panthers. Correct answer is
the Carolina Panthers.
Neither of you needed the options.
Wow, good job,
Nice
Andrew.
job on that one. So we have a
Good job
2-2
as well.
tie. Joe Burrow was drafted first overall in 2020. Which quarterback from that draft has thrown for more yards than Joe Burrow? Marsh, you said I'm going to shoot from the hip and go with Justin Herbert. Tua Tagovailoa was also in that draft.
Damn.
As was Jalen Hurts. Oh. Andrew, you also went with Justin Herbert. Correct answer is
It is Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert is the correct answer. Neither of you needed the options for that one. Nice job, guys. You took a shot. And you guys were right. So we have a 4-4 tie.
Brian Greasy question.
It comes down to this. Aside from Tom Brady, what other quarterback has won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Now, Andrew, you did not take the options. You said I could see his number, but I could see his face, but I can't remember what the name was. But you didn't take the options. You actually went with Rich Gannon.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Rich Gannon was the quarterback of the Raiders,
right,
who lost to this quarterback from the Buccaneers.
Super Bowl, wrong team.
That's correct. The question is, was Marsh correct?
Woo.
You said Brian Greasy.
I did.
And then you went with Brad Johnson once you heard the options, and Brian Greasy was an option. Now, you said I may have pulled an Anthony on this one. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's saying the answer, potentially, thinking that you know it, and then second-guessing yourself and choosing a different answer.
Yeah.
And ultimately losing.
So a bit of a shot at me there. I think I appreciate that. All right. CD. Did Brad Johnson oppose Rich Gannon in that Super Bowl, or was it the pride of Michigan, Brian Greasy?
It was Brad Johnson.
Andrew.
You have chosen poorly.
You lose. Not today.
Wow. It was Brad Johnson. Andrew, I'm sorry, man. You had the right Super Bowl. Rich Gannon did play in that Super Bowl, but he was opposed by Brad Johnson, former Minnesota Viking, by the way. So, Andrew, nice job. I feel like that question threw you off. Like, you were rolling. You had the Panthers, you had Herbert, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then that one kind of tripped you up a little bit.
You know, I think it's the Marshy effect. This is my third time losing to Marsh.
Oh.
So something about him, I think, he's got some juju going, and I can't get it rolling. I go up against him.
Nah, man.
No, I think it's because you're a really good guy.
Yeah.
Really good guy. You're probably the one that helped me out on the side of the road.
Probably. And you're just so good of a guy, you're not even going to take credit for it.
Okay, that would be pretty ironic, but I cannot take credit for that one. That'd be pretty funny if I was.
Well, Andrew, I'm sorry you lost again to Marsh, but clearly you are a stand-up guy, and we hope that you try again at some point and just avoid Marsh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next time I'll just wait for him to be sick or on vacation or something.
It's a great idea. Yeah, it's a great idea.
I'll pay for his vacation, actually, so
It's great.
so I can ensure I don't face him.
There you go.
We'll get you on again here next week. No.
Good call. All right, Andrew. See you, buddy. Thanks for listening.
Good
Thanks
job.
for
Have a
playing.
good one.
You
Thanks.
too. Thanks. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Why don't we do our Sports Six-Pack next? 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. So if you do have a question for us, send it in, and we'll answer next here in the Sports Six-Pack on 101 ESPN. Hey, when it comes to getting that dream home of yours, why don't you call my guy Stewie? Because Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation is going to get you closed a lot of time within less than 2 weeks, and he's going to offer you the bagel loan. And the bagel loan is no closing cost and no lender fees when borrowing up to $200,000 or more. So the bagel loan, it's amazing. You could call other people, you call their lenders, and you tell them, well, what's your program? What programs do you offer when it comes to no closing costs and no lender fees? A lot of times they'll laugh at you like, nobody does that. Stewie does that. So if you're looking at your dream home, or maybe you're looking at a situation where you want to consolidate debt or take out some money, call Stewie first. Tell him what your situation is. Tell them, hey, this is what I'm thinking, or I've called other lenders. They can't get it done for me. What can you do for me? And just listen what he has to say. Refi, home loans, debt consolidation. He does it all, and he does it better than anybody. So give him a call. Google the bagel loan. Get his number from the website. I'm sure if you're driving around right now. Give them, Google the bagel loan, because when it comes to saving money over the course of your loan or getting the best rate or when it comes to just flat out getting the best customer service, Stewie's your guy. Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six Pack is now.
Time for the Sports Six Pack here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. So if you do have a Sports Six Pack question for us, the Air Comfort Service text line is 314-399-9646. Marsh, go.
Question number one.
All right, we get a question from the 217. Do you guys keep stuff in your car in case you're stranded like Carey? I learned the hard way to keep a change of clothes.
Oh, yeah. Carey, what do you think? Your car, I feel like, Carey, you run into some issues along the way sometimes.
Well, I didn't have anything in the car today. I think you should always keep a hat, gloves, a blanket, flashlight, things like that if you're stuck on the side, or if you got the flare sticks or whatever, those are good. I just got boots and shirts and clothes in my car. So, no, I got a chair. I don't know what that's good for.
A chair?
Like a foldable chair?
Yeah, folding chair?
Folding. The chairs you take out and you have at your kids' games and things like that.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah.
I don't walk around. It's not a steel cage.
You don't have a recliner.
Yeah, I don't have a folding chair just waiting to jump off the top rope.
Okay.
Gutted out the actual chair in the car and put a recliner in there. Not a recliner, but like a, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. My wife, Kristen, is incredible with that stuff. She always keeps blankets and hats and gloves and extra stuff just in case you get stuck on the side of the road. I do none of that, and I have no reason not to. I really don't. There's no reason for me, especially when the weather conditions are like this, to not have extra clothes, blankets, things like that in case I'm stuck on the side of the road. I'm just like, I'll be fine. I'm that guy. I'll be fine. And somebody's going to find me on the side of the road, dead, frozen.
No.
Because I just didn't keep the extra blanket and things like that I needed. Yeah.
Why dead? Why not just cold? Why
cold and dead. That'd be me.
He was sick.
He was sick. He was sick because he didn't bring the extra blanket.
I think keeping trash bags in your car are important too. I think they can help insulate your, if you're cold. Sure. I've heard that. It could be a myth too. I don't know. Maybe everything I believe in is a myth.
Okay. Yeah. Cut the hole out though, Marsh.
Well, yeah. You don't want to put it on your face.
Yeah. I'm just saying, some people may get confused. And then those people will also wind up sick.
If that's the case, though, do you take your shirt off? That feels like a lot.
Carey, I'm no scientist. It's just what I heard.
Marsh got as far as have trash bags somewhere in your car, not for trash, but for keeping warm.
Well, also, I think if you get wet, right, and it's cold out, you have to strip naked. Otherwise, you'll freeze to death. I don't think that is a myth. I think that's true.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sure. Yeah.
Because your body heat is you don't want to be cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, always keep extra stuff in your car.
It's always good.
Especially on days like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good practice.
And make sure
Question number 2.
Yeah, make sure you have that gas. That's right.
Maybe a bag of Depends, too. You never know.
You never know. May need to go to the bathroom.
Yes. The Waterboy wants to know, do you think the way the NFL format for playoffs is fair, or should the Vikings have gotten to play a home game next weekend?
So I've always thought it's kind of ridiculous that just because you played in a crap division and you won said crap division that you get to host a playoff game. But if you don't do away with the divisions, then this is the fairest way. It's either have the divisions and do it this way, and the reward for winning your division is hosting a playoff game, or do away with the divisions and just take the top 7 teams and seed them appropriately.
Well, you could keep the divisions and make if you win your division, you get an automatic bid to the playoffs. It doesn't necessarily give you the 3 or 4 seed, depending on your record.
Yeah, you could do that. Let me see what it would be if we just took the best records. Yeah, hang tight here, guys.
I actually like it. I mean, I'm okay with it. I think there's you really can't control how good your division is from year to year. Mm-hmm. Some years you might have a really strong division, like we saw the NFC West as a really strong division over the past few years. It wasn't really this year. Mm-hmm. We saw the AFC North as a strong division. The NFC North hasn't been, but you got 3 teams in the playoffs this year, so I don't have an issue with it. Sometimes it's difficult, but you get to reseeding everything, then you basically say there's no need to play 2 games inside of your division every year.
So this is how it would break down in the AFC. You guys ready? Mm-hmm. The Chiefs would have the bye. Mm-hmm. The Bills would host the Broncos. The Ravens would host the Steelers. So nothing changes from that standpoint. The only thing that would change, the Chargers would host Houston as opposed to going to Houston. Mm-hmm. That's in the AFC. In the NFC, Lions still get the first round bye. Mm-hmm. The Eagles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Eagles would host the Rams. The Bucs would go to Minnesota, and the Commanders would host the Packers. So a lot would change in the NFC, or a lot of things would change in the NFC. Not everything. I don't know. I like that. I like Marsh's idea. If you keep the divisions, you get into the playoffs, but you're not guaranteed to host a game.
How often does this happen, though?
Do you go ahead?
And it would happen this year,
right? But at the end of the day, the Vikings had a chance to not do this. They could have won yesterday, and they didn't. So
yeah, true.
It usually happens in the NFC South because they're usually the worst team in the league.
And the AFC South, too. For whatever reason, the South divisions in the NFL are terrible.
Cyclical, guys. Just relax. All right.
Yeah, hasn't been good for a while.
Now, why don't you guys clean up your attitude, and we'll come back and do the other questions next in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. After losing to the Columbus Blue Jackets over the weekend, the Blues will take on the Minnesota Wild tomorrow. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7, and you can listen to that one right here on 101 ESPN. Tonight, we have the FCS Championship game. Pregame starts at 5:30. Kickoff is at 6. If you miss anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. Just head to the podcast page and you can find all of our full shows there, and it's all brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. We have our part 2 of the Sports Six Pack coming up next, so get your questions into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. Sports Six Pack part 2 coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six Pack is now.
All right, time for the second part of the Sports Six Pack here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Marsh, I think for DLW 1904's sake, we should talk about the World Juniors.
Question number 3.
I'm getting real nervous for him.
Anthony, what do you think about the World Juniors? Team USA.
Team USA won golds. It's gold, Jerry. It's phenomenal. Excellent.
They're a really good team.
It was a really good team, well constructed. Wound up winning a gold. Phenomenal. Went they're part of the Final Four, got to the gold medal round and won it all. So I think that's outstanding.
Canada, they pooped their pants.
Canada, get out of here.
I think the big winner in this entire tournament, not just the United States of America, but your St. Louis Blues, with all the players that they had playing in this tournament and showing up and showing out.
Yep.
I think they're the big winners of this tournament. St. Louis Blues.
St. Louis Blues and USA. Overall.
And USA.
Well,
USA. 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 There you go.
Marshy, I thought you were going to say the big winner was America, because Jamie Rivers actually said he is from America.
Yeah, he did, Anthony.
He did?
Yeah, and Mama Rivers wasn't having it. She texted him and told him, hey, stop playing.
Yeah.
You missed it because, I brought up last week that Canada, like I said, they pooped their pants in the tournament and got eliminated. So we brought it up to Jamie, getting his thoughts.
For hockey in Canada.
Yeah. Not so much, but, we brought it up to Jamie, and Jamie flat out said, I'm not from Canada. My home country is the United States of America. Where do I live now? I made a great point. I said, what about your other country that, you used to live in? And then he brought up Croatia. He refused. Up until a point, refused to talk about the Canadian hockey team, the World Juniors, and their performance.
That's just a shame.
Yeah. But not the United States performance.
No.
Not the United States.
Bigger shame when it comes to just Team Canada's overall performance. Mm-hmm. What was the bigger shame, I guess? Jamie's failure to admit where he's from, or Team Canada's performance?
Oh, man. They were...
It got to be Jamie.
I think so, too, because he won. He won that specific tournament with that team. With that country. Mm-hmm. And refused to acknowledge being from there.
Yes.
That's the ultimate deal breaker for me.
Yeah, that's not great.
We'll get his thoughts, though, when he shows up.
I'm sure he'll have a full breakdown. Not that you didn't get a full breakdown from us. But DLW 1904, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And, you know what? Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing it
Holding us accountable?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Question number 4.
What, Carey? Go ahead.
So if people did that more with City, we would do that as well.
Come on.
I think they do.
Don't get ahead of yourself. Gary, what's in that coffee at that hotel?
I'll never tell.
All right, from the 314, would you rather camp in sub-zero temperatures with no sleeping bag or camp in the African safari wilderness with no weapons?
Say that again. I've heard the second part of that. What was the first part?
Okay, would you rather camp in sub-zero temperatures with no sleeping bag or camp in this African safari wilderness with no weapons?
Oh, give me the safari. I don't think I'm going to overcome.
I think you're dying either way.
I'm dying either way, but, give me a chance, I guess, because what are you going to do with frostbite?
Nothing.
Like if a lion gets me, maybe that lion's tired that day, or
just grab it by the teeth.
Yeah.
Right, and pull back.
I don't think that works.
Anthony Sampson, not Anthony Stalter.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, basically, Marsh is right. I'm dying, but at least give me a chance to fight. I'm not going to fight off frostbite.
I would say safari as well, because they only said you don't have weapons, but you got water. I mean, you got food. Maybe you got shelter. You got an ability to protect yourself better and survive longer. You're in the freezing temperatures without a sleeping bag. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right?
Even with the sleeping bag.
A tent? Maybe, I don't know how much is a sleeping bag going to help, even if you're. I just don't want to be cold.
Right.
That's I start there.
Droid FX has lots of mosquitoes in the safari. You're right, Droid. I think. Look, we're taking the lesser of two evils. I think.
I don't think you're getting out of either one.
No,
I really don't.
No, you're either getting
just one night.
One night. How are you going out though in the African safari?
Oh, I'm getting eaten by a lion.
By a lion?
Yeah.
Not like a hyena or.
Hey, either way. Some animal from the Lion King is getting me, So what if you don't? I'll be part of the circle of life within 24 hours.
Could you make a weapon though? Like you could start out with no weapons. Could you maybe make one?
You could make one.
Like a slingshot or something with a rock.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
That worked before.
You could take out the rubber, the stretchy part of your shorts and your pants, take that out, find a stick, wrap it around, find a rock, and now you got a slingshot.
Right.
That feels like MacGyver. Marcia, do you know MacGyver?
I've heard of him.
Oh, gosh.
I think I'm going to try to get to high ground in that scenario.
That works.
Can lions climb trees? I'm sure they can.
Anthony, they can jump. Literally the logo of the Detroit Lions is a lion jumping.
Jumping, yeah. On a Viking.
All right.
Question number 5.
All right. Well, speaking of the Lions from Swan, are the Lions proof that drafting best player available over need is the correct way to draft outside of maybe the quarterback position when you do have to reach depending on teams' situations?
I've always thought that drafting best player available is the best way to go. Within reason, of course. Like if you have the quarterback, then you're not going to take another quarterback in the first round, unless you're the Falcons, which thank God they did. But the Lions drafted for need this past year. They drafted They went in saying we need cornerback help, and they got cornerbacks in the first 2 rounds, including the one kid from Mizzou. But I don't know. I just think smart drafting overall, getting the best player that fits your culture, the best player that fits your system on either side of the ball. I think that's always the best way to go.
I agree. I think you always want to try to draft the best player available, no matter where they are. And I think the Falcons did do that. I think that's what they did with Michael Penix, because you don't know how things are going to play out. So you draft the best player available, and you expect them to help your team. The Lions, and what they did in that draft with Jahmyr Gibbs and all those guys, was fantastic. Again, a lot of people, myself included, were a bit confused. But
me too. Yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah, we were wrong. They knew exactly what they needed. They didn't need the offensive line. They had one of the best line groups in the NFL and one of the best linemen in Penei Sewell. So they've done a fantastic job of just adding to what they needed to that roster, and it's worked out really well for them.
I was 1,000% wrong on the Lions draft that year. And I was 1,000% right when I said the Falcons should have benched Kirk Cousins the night they took Michael Penix. Just saying.
Nah.
What? They would have won the NFC South had they started Penix from week one.
Yeah.
Did you see the bullet he threw to Drake London yesterday?
He has a very strong arm.
Holy
we talked about, he had, coming out this year, he probably had one of the best arms in the draft, right?
Yes.
In my opinion. I thought his arm was one of the best ones. The ball just kind of flings out of his hand. So the Falcons are in good shape, Anthony. I know it's frustrating. You all paid Kirk a lot of money. It's over with now. You don't have to worry about it.
The nightmare the nightmare will be there for another year.
Nah.
At least from a cap standpoint. No, he won't be there. His money owed will still be there for at least 1 year. But look at the Broncos. Like, when people bring this up, does everybody remember that everybody had the Denver Broncos left for dead a year ago with the Russell Wilson deal? Like, the Broncos they'll never survive this. Fast forward a year later, they're in the playoffs. Like, you can overcome it if you get the right QB, number one, and if you have the right talent. Bottom line.
Question number 6.
All right, this next one comes from the Water Boy. Which owner is worse, Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, or the DeWitts?
I got to go with Jerry Jones.
They haven't won a championship since the 90s, so you can start there. I think Jerry Jones. He pays his players, but he doesn't really have an idea at times of what's going on, I think.
And I think he meddles. He meddles too much. Mm-hmm. Say what you want about Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft did bring in Belichick, who eventually drafted Brady. I mean, look, I think that even though the Gerard Mayo situation, we'll get into this next, but even though the Gerard Mayo situation did not pan out well, it's hard to knock what Robert Kraft has done. And the DeWitts, we can gripe about the way that they don't completely open up their checkbook when it comes to spending, but they're still a really good ownership group that cares about the fan base, cares about the product, cares about baseball.
Right.
Just not enough to win a championship since 11. No. All right, let's get into Black Monday.
There's one person on the text line that agrees with you.
Very true. Yes. Anytime we criticize a local team, I think that person agrees. Mm-hmm. All right, NFL Black Monday. There is one surprise team that held on, or looks like they're holding on to their coaching staff, and it's not the Giants. We'll get into that next on 101 ESPN. It's Black Monday in the NFL, which means that any other head coach that had not previously been fired, that did not do an inadequate job, they may have gotten a pink slip today. We know that the Jacksonville Jaguars will be searching for a new head coach after firing Doug Peterson today. Gerard Mayo was informed that he will not be retained after just one season in New England. That came down yesterday after the Patriots blew an opportunity to get the number 1 overall pick by beating the Bills. The other job openings that were already created, Chicago with the Bears, of course. The Saints had fired Dennis Allen a few months back. There's what's the other one? Jets. The Jets had fired Robert Saleh. So those are the openings that we know of. The one surprise that's not an opening, CD, at least for me, not the Giants of Brian Daboll, because at least Brian Daboll went to the playoffs a couple of years ago. You know, the Daniel Jones situation, maybe that was hey, we're gonna be a little bit more patient here. But the one job opening that I think should be an opening would be the Raiders. I'm surprised that Mark Davis, looking at what Denver has and what the Chargers have and what the Chiefs have, he can't look back and say, Antonio Pierce is not my guy. I'm surprised that one hasn't already fallen.
I think it's hard to evaluate how good a coach is when your quarterback situation is not sorted out properly. I don't know that Aiden O'Connell is the future of the Las Vegas Raiders.
No.
And so by that, you would look at that position and say, okay, maybe when we get a guy in here that can play the game the way we need him to play, now we can get a real understanding of what our head coaching situation is. That's probably the same thing that the New York Giants are saying about Brian Daboll. You don't know what a coach is until you really give them an opportunity to have a quarterback and lead that franchise in the right direction. That's why the Gerard Mayo firing was so interesting and so really threw so many people off. 1 year, rookie quarterback. It was almost like he was set up to fail and not given a real opportunity to succeed. Doug Peterson, not a surprise. I thought the Jaguars weren't good, and they do have a quarterback that most people think is an elite quarterback. So all in all, most of the coaching openings that are available were based off of poor quarterback play or young quarterback play. The Bears would be the one exception, but he was probably due to be fired a year or so ago. So,
yeah,
that would be the one exception. But most of the other ones, you look at the situation that they have, and it's that team didn't have the level of quarterback play that was needed or required to have success.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what these teams do. The big name, of course, is Ben Johnson, the Detroit Lions coordinator, and most of the teams have requested to interview him during the Lions bye week. The team, I saw this report, the team that did not request to interview Ben Johnson was the team that has interviewed everybody else, including TV personalities that at one time actually coached their team too, Rex Ryan. And that's the Jets. The Jets have interviewed Rex Ryan, or at least scheduled to interview Rex Ryan, Brian Griese, Mike Greenberg, not the TV personality, but the assistant GM in Tampa. Like they have seemingly interviewed or will interview everybody. I got a call earlier from Woody Johnson saying he's interested in potentially bringing in me for an interview. He heard what I did in flag football. But they're not going to interview Ben Johnson, the offense coordinator for the Lions. That's wild to me. Unless he rejected them a couple of years ago or something. I don't know. But that one seems strange to me. So the Jets are seemingly on the verge of jetsing this thing again.
Well, they would probably be better bringing in the Mike Greenberg from the radio show. That might actually work out well for him. He loves the Jets, so he would pour his heart and soul into that job, if nothing else. I don't know what the Jets are doing. I was surprised when I heard that they were bringing Rex Ryan back for an interview. I thought that ship had sailed when, he did have a couple of good years, took him to the AFC Championship game twice, but I just didn't think that would be the direction that I don't know what they're doing. I don't know that they know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing at quarterback because I'm sure he hasn't given them any indication as to whether or not he'll be back, and that's Aaron Rodgers. They don't know what they're doing at head coach. You gotta figure some things out. But again, most of these coaches, when they get fired, it's from poor quarterback play.
Yeah.
And if you are Ben Johnson and you're the coach, the offensive coordinator, one of the hottest teams for the last couple of years, you have been finding ways to get dynamic players to football, and you got a lot of guys, and you've been doing a really good job. I was looking at it earlier. Their point differential, obviously, that's also defense, but I think it's like plus 222. I think it's the highest in the league. And they play at a really high level. And so if I'm looking for an offensive coordinator or a guy, I'm going to look for Ben Johnson. I told Marshy, I think Jamie was in yesterday, if I'm the Chicago Bears, that's who I'm hiring.
Yeah.
It's Ben Johnson. You know the division. You got a young quarterback. You got weapons offensively, not as many as you have and not the same caliber as you have in Detroit. But you got 3 really good receivers. You got a running back. You got a tight end, and you got a young quarterback. That's the place where I would be looking to go. Also, like I said, you're in the division. You know that defense, those defenses really well.
So here's the names that we're going to hear. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. I think Brian Flores deserves another shot at head coaching. I know the situation with Tua wasn't good. I realize that. But I would at least be interested in hearing what he learned from that, what he plans to do differently, because that man can coach defense. There's no question about it. And the Dolphins weren't that bad under his tutelage. It was just a situation, obviously, with the quarterback situation. He had a bad relationship, I guess, from the start with Tua. But Brian Flores, I think
he didn't want him from how it sounded.
Right, and I think he really got fired because he wasn't willing to tank for, or meet with Tom Brady or whatever the situation was in Miami. It wasn't good, but Brian Flores, I think, deserves another opportunity. I think Cliff Kingsbury's name is probably going to pop up here with the way that he was able to coordinate things with Washington with Jaden Daniels. And then, your guy, Arthur Smith, is probably going to get another look here after what he did with Pittsburgh.
I thought about you. I did think about you this weekend. I was watching my Steelers play, and I was watching that offense.
Thank you.
And I was I wanted to text you.
You should have.
I was too heartbroken to send a message out. I'm watching that offense. I'm like, what?
You know what I mean? Carey, you know what I mean?
What is this, man? Help me. You went through this.
Yes.
Please help me. Arthur Smith, there's no way anybody should be calling for him to run any team.
Thank you.
Any offense. You can be an assistant special teams coach. That's as far as I'm willing to go at this point. Like it was very frustrating watching the Pittsburgh Steelers play football. And it's almost like I don't know what the concepts are. I don't know what we're doing.
Isn't it more difficult? Is it more difficult than what it should be? That's what I always felt like. It was unnecessarily complicated watching Arthur Smith's offense.
Yeah, it was. Now they had one combination where Freiermuth caught the corner route and scored the touchdown, and he had the post on the other side to hold the safety. That was a good combination. I liked it. Good ball, good throw, good concept.
Right.
But when I watch a lot of it, I don't know. I'm very confused.
Thank you.
It's hard for my brain to wrap around what we're trying to do. Who are we trying to attack? Who are we trying to highlight?
Right.
Who are we trying to stop?
Right.
There's a lot of questions. There's more questions than answers.
You're going to complain about every coordinator, right? If you're watching a team and the offense fails, you're going to find a way to criticize, a coordinator. But when I watched Arthur Smith, I'm like, I keep hearing this guy's a genius, but I don't understand. I feel like every receiver is covered. Some of the, the gotta have it plays. I actually thought of you too. I almost reached out to you, but I didn't want to. I'm sure you were hurting that night, so I didn't reach out to you. But there was the one where I think it was a 4th down call, a gotta have it moment. Runs the ball right up the middle. No, there's no motion. There's no nothing. Just run the ball right up the middle. Got stopped, and they showed his face, and he looked confused. Like, why didn't this work? I almost texted you in that moment thinking, this is the Arthur Smith that I remember.
It's a bad call. That's why it didn't work.
He's like looking up at the screen. He was confused by the whole thing. Anyways, all right. So we'll see where these coordinators wind up, or these former head coaches wind up, and see who gets recycled and who winds up becoming head coach. I mean, Ben Johnson, and Aaron Glenn did a remarkable job. We'll see if they could be head coaches, though. You know. It's a completely different thing to be a coordinator and then a head coach. It's easier to be a coordinator, not easy, but easier. You don't have to deal with the other side of the ball. You don't have to deal with the players' personalities, the media, all of that, at least as much as the head coach does. So we'll find out. All right, NFL wild card. We're going to do our first look at these wild card matchups. I think all of them are intriguing for different reasons. We'll get into it next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Carey, and if you own a business or you're a contractor that needs recycling, my good friends over at Scrap Mart Metals can help you. They're tailor-made for your business to meet your schedule and budget. They understand that job site cleanup for contractors can be a mess, but if you set up a business account with Scrap Mart to recycle that metal, it'll be one less thing you have to do during cleanup. You'd be amazed at how the scrap metals add up and how it can truly help your business's cash flow. If you're a plumber, you do heating and cooling, an excavator, or any type of contractor, Scrap Mart Metals Recycling can make your job easier. But you don't have to be a contractor. You don't have to own a business. If you have things in your home that need recycling, Scrap Mart can help you out as well. They have 3 convenient locations: Valley Park, Peebly, Jonesburg. If it's metal, they will buy it. Copper, wire, brass, stainless steel, aluminum batteries, electric motors, steel, cast iron, and so much more. It is recycling made easy. They offer a convenient drive-on scale for those of contractors that need it, and they have the highest payout. You will always get top dollar for your scrap metals. Just visit them at scrapmartmetals.com. If you own a business, my guy Lucas can talk to you about setting up a business account to get you rolling. Again, that's scrapmartmetals.com, and tell them Carey Davis sent you.
Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Programming note, we do have the FCS Championship tonight, and we will broadcast that at 5:30. The pregame starts then, the 6 o'clock kickoff we'll cover as well. But the FCS Championship game, that's going to be North Dakota State versus Montana State. Who do you got, Marsh?
I got to go with Montana State, Anthony. I can never root for the Bison.
Okay, yeah.
Never can, never will, never did.
Montana State, the Bobcats, 15-0 on the year. So they'll put their 15-0 record on the line here. Carey, who do you got?
I'm going with Marshy. Well, actually, no. I'm going North Dakota State.
Oh, come on, Carey.
I'm sorry. Hey, they're always there, it seems like. Every time I look up, they're playing in the national championship. They're a really good team, aren't they? Yeah. Why wouldn't I think that they're going to win?
They're a good program.
You can't root for them because you went to the rival school. I get it.
I did. You know what, though? Our football team, not as good as them, but you know what? We've beaten them a few times.
Nice job.
And I'll tell you what, they don't have a hockey team, so they can get lost.
Yeah. Darn
beat them
right.
in that, too.
Well, they don't have a team to play, so we'd beat them. We'd smoke them if they did.
There you go.
They wouldn't have a team. We'd be like 100-0.
Yeah.
Or they should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No goalie or defenders.
No.
Nothing to stop you.
You'd be on air. Yeah. All right. The NFL wild card round kicks off at 3:30 local time in Houston between the Chargers and Texans. I think every matchup is intriguing for various reasons. This one, Houston, not trustworthy. I don't feel like they're trustworthy all year. Now they're banged up, but they are going against the Chargers team, and the big narrative, of course, is that Justin Herbert can't win a playoff game. I think that he gets his first one this weekend, guys. I think he wins his first one. I think this Chargers team is different. And over the second half of the year, it's like, hey, we're going to run the ball. Herbert's not going to put the ball in the air much. Down the stretch, though, you saw Herbert open things up. The Chargers open things up offensively. Ultimately, I think the Chargers are at least a year ahead of where they should be under Harbaugh. But I still got them winning in Houston. That's kind of my first look there. I just don't trust the Texans. What about you, CD?
Is J.K. Dobbins back healthy?
Yeah.
Or is he
he's played the last 2 weeks. Looked good yesterday when they were, now granted it was the Raiders, but he had 19 carries for 63 yards.
Yesterday. I watched the one game, like Marshy said. I had no desire to watch any of that football during the day, seeing as how, I didn't know who was playing and who wasn't. But
he's been back the last 2 weeks. He had 19 carries for 76 yards against the Patriots and then 18 carries for 63 yards yesterday.
The Chargers have been leaning on him all season long. And so he's been the guy first season. I know he got hurt and missed some time, but first season having a really healthy season. And so I trust him. And I would go this far, Anthony, because if they win this game against the Houston Texans, you know where they go next. They go to Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yeah. Well, depending on, so I would say, you might see them in the AFC Championship game, Anthony.
Wow.
Kansas City could be one and done. Yeah. You trust Kansas City?
Yeah. Of course.
Why? Why do you trust Kansas City, Anthony?
Oh, because of Mahomes and Reed and history.
You know what Carey just did? He just eliminated the Steelers.
He did. Yeah, I was going to say it. You eliminated the Steelers.
Yeah.
Not that you can't, but you eliminated the Broncos. But you did.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
It's going to be hard for the Steelers to beat the Ravens the way that they're playing.
There's no way.
And the way the Steelers are playing, let's be honest. Like, it hasn't been good. So, yeah,
Carey,
I would say that.
Ultimately, what? Because this is the next game. That's the Saturday night game. It's in Baltimore. Like, what ultimately went wrong in the final 4 games?
So, obviously, George Pickens missed those 2 games. I will say, that hurt.
He didn't play. He didn't play Saturday night either.
He played. He was there. He didn't catch him.
He was terrible. He was terrible.
There were so many drops. Freiermuth dropped a pass.
Oh, the last one. I felt bad for him.
And that went right through his hands.
Yep.
The Steelers don't have a star on the offense. That's my opinion. Like, they don't have a superstar on offense. Whether that's up front, whether that's, in the backfield, at receiver. I love Najee Harris. I would love to see him have more opportunities to break, longer runs and be more explosive in the run game. I think he does really well in the pass game, pass protection. But George Pickens is supposed to be that star, and at times he kind of gets in his own way and gets in his own head. I think he has the potential to be a star, but they don't have a star yet. I love Pat Freiermuth as well. I think he's a really good tight end. And as much as people will talk about Russell Wilson, that game on Saturday was not on Russell Wilson. It was way too many drop passes, way too many missed opportunities, and just not good enough play up front to win that game. They couldn't block. They couldn't run. They can't catch. And then you leave the defense out there to play, scoreless football. They gotta pitch shutouts almost in order to win games. And so that's what their problem is. They just don't have enough explosive players on the offense right now.
I also got to say, at least ask this of you. Were they a product of their schedule? Because as soon as the opponents got tough, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, you did beat the Bengals in a shootout once, but then you lost them on Saturday. As soon as the schedule got difficult, the Steelers shrunk.
I would say that's a tough schedule for anybody. You got the top team in the NFL. You got the number 2 team in the Eagles, I think, my number 2 team. And then the Ravens, I think those are really tough teams. And so I can't say that they shrunk because of the schedule. I would just say they didn't perform well enough. They went against 3 of the top teams in the NFL, in the Ravens, Chiefs, and Eagles in 3 back-to-back weeks, and that's a tough schedule for anybody. And then you lose a division game to the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making excuses. You got to find a way to win.
Yeah.
But they just don't have enough explosiveness on the offensive side, in my opinion, to have success. You gave up 19 points to the Bengals, to a team and Joe Burrow, who is a top 3 MVP candidate, and they're not even going to the playoffs.
Right.
You should win that game. You were in the Chiefs game, and then it got away from you late. So, it hasn't been explosive enough. It hasn't been good enough offensively, in my opinion.
And the Ravens are fascinating. The Ravens and Bills, I think, are fascinating because I don't know, on any given Saturday or Sunday or Monday, they can be the most dangerous offense, or Thursday or Wednesday.
Wednesday.
To me, if you look at the Bills and the Ravens, on any given game, on any given day, they could be the most explosive team, the most dangerous offense, and then they could also be inconsistent. I mean, like the Ravens, when they faced Cleveland, and that first quarter, they were deep in Cleveland territory. They went for it on like a 4th and 4, something like that. And Lamar had an opportunity to run it and then kind of threw it almost like he was a basketball player, like a no-look skyhook to a wide receiver that, it fell flat. Henry got bottled up initially. Like, I don't know. If we get the best versions of the Ravens and Bills, I think both teams have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If we get just a quarter or 2 of the bad version of each, they could lose to any opponent. That's kind of my takeaway on both teams.
Anthony, I do have a bone to pick with you.
Sure.
You weren't here. You remember a few weeks back when I asked you, should I keep the Baltimore Ravens defense? And Justin Tucker, you said, drop them both. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost the semifinals because the Ravens got a whole lot of points on defense, and the defense I had didn't get enough.
What was the defense you picked up?
The only defense I had was the Cardinals.
Oh, well. Yeah, that's problematic,
You think?
Weren't you going to drop? But weren't you going to drop somebody good?
I was going to drop Shakir.
Yeah, who went off at least one of those games.
He didn't play on my team. It didn't matter. He was on the bench. Scored 40 points on the bench. Good for him.
40 points. Okay, he scored 40 points.
He wasn't playing. I didn't need him.
Well, that's your fault.
Man, it's not.
Who scored 41 on your roster? Huh? Don't you be blaming me.
I had a bunch of good players.
You know what I'm going to blame you for, CD? The fact that we're tied against the Rizzuto show. I'm blaming you. So you're blaming me for your fantasy team. I'm blaming you for the Rizzuto show tie now.
I don't know how this happened. And Marshy, you got a cul-de-sac on the line, buddy.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
I blame CD. I blame BK. BK didn't even turn in his picks for a full day 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
That put us behind the 8 ball there.
Yeah, it certainly did. So for those wondering, we're tied now, and now we're going to the wild card round to decide things. We were up 7-0. 7 Cobb.
We were bragging, huh?
We were talking undefeated season.
They should have called the game at that point. I blame Ryder. If you want to blame somebody, blame Ryder.
We're like the Sam Bradford Vikings. Like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl, and then we don't even make the playoffs.
We're like the Philadelphia Eagle Dream Team.
Yeah.
Really? You
Yeah.
had to bring up Sam Bradford as a Viking.
I'm sorry.
That was my first year as a Vikings fan.
I'm sorry.
Something good was happening in my life. And then it wasn't.
Why don't we just go ahead and say it? We're up 28-3.
Oh, you weren't here. They had a caricature of Anthony Stalter.
Who did?
They built, well, we all did. We built one. What would our Anthony Stalter look like? What would he be doing? And so we had like the gold chain around the neck, the tank top. You're cutting the grass. You got a wheelbarrow with a blue heron in it, chest hair puffed out. He said you had a neck tat that says 28-3. You build a Anthony is what we did, and it was awesome.
Why did you do this?
I don't remember why we did it.
I think it was just like one of those things where, you just like, we're like, I don't know what Anthony's doing. When's he coming back? And we're like, what do you think he is doing? And we kind of just built our own Anthony Stalter.
Kind of like like we built Mo the one time.
Yeah, kind of.
When he's talking to the media.
Yeah.
Where he had like the tattoos and.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
We built an Anthony.
Okay. Seems like a fast lane thing. Mm-hmm. I'll have to go back and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Gator. Quote, it's okay, son, the fast lane is just sick.
It's not funny.
It's not funny. It is funny.
Epic collapse. Yeah, it is.
Big time.
Not when half my head is shaved.
No, that's gonna be a bad look.
Yeah.
All right, bet the board. 3 stars of the day next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Coming up next, we have the FCS Championship game. That pregame will start at 5:30, so in less than 10 minutes, and we'll have kickoff at 6 o'clock. If you missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. Just head to the podcast page, and you'll find all of our full shows there. That's all brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
If you missed anything from today's show, you can always check out the podcast available at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 ESPN mobile app. The podcast is brought to you by Schaefer Door Company. Time to get to Bet the Board.
Yes.
We got new peeps.
Yes, we do. We certainly do. Carey and Anthony, you guys are leading the pack with 2 points.
Way to go, Carey.
2 points
Good job,
so
Anthony.
far. I have 1, and Jamie is at 0.
Goose egg for old Jamie. All right.
What do you guys got?
Carey, go ahead.
Give me the Phoenix Suns on the money line, minus 120.
The Phoenix Suns, huh? Mm-hmm. You like them, do you? All right.
Probably.
I was looking at this earlier. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are 1-11 against the spread this year in college basketball. 1-11. They haven't covered since their first game. So give me Ohio State minus 5 in college hoops tonight. Ohio State minus 5 in college hoops.
All right, I'm going with the Vancouver Canucks money line tonight, and Jamie is taking the Florida Panthers money line tonight.
They stole a dog in Colorado? Yeah, it looks like they are.
Yeah.
All right, Marshall, what do you got for 3 stars of the day?
Just real quick, I got to give a shout out to Grant Francis Fan Club. A text earlier today says Marsh has enough salt over the Vikings game to clear all of the St. Louis area roads. That is true.
Attaboy.
That is true.
Hey,
so
when your team plays like that, you got to air it out a little bit.
Absolutely. All right, let's start off with our 3rd star of the day. It goes out to all the listeners that participated in today's show, given the fact that not everybody's on the road.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll tell you what, our snake pit active all day, text line active all day, so we thank you. Thank you for listening.
2nd star of the day goes to Bacon Wrapped Wiener for getting involved.
And he was fantastic today,
Yes.
wasn't he? Yep.
Absolutely. I'm going to give the 1st star of the day to that stranger that helped me today.
Yeah, Bob.
Bob.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Excellent.
So-
yeah, Marsh was stuck in snow for
a hot sec.
over an hour, right?
It felt like it.
I actually didn't think that Marsh was going to make it in. I thought I was going to have to run the board, which means it would have been dead air. So we thank you to that person that helped Marsh out. And thank you to all of you. We appreciate you. For Carey Davis, for Jamie Rivers, for Andrew Marsh, I'm Anthony Stalter. We will see you.